Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the CantinaMX podcast. Glad to have you with us. It is Thursday, January 11th, 2018, the second Thursday of 2018. Glad to have you guys with us. A lot to talk about tonight, and as always, we have our distinguished panel of guests to help us along with that. My name is John JoGo. You can listen to this and our previous editions of the podcast here on YouTube. You can also download them in the podcast center on iTunes. And feel free to give us a like on Facebook. We have a CantinaMX podcast page on Facebook. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do that as well. Albert Campa is one who manages our Twitter handle. He'll join us a little bit later. But let's get right to it. Let's get right to our panel of guests. Joining us from Long Island, we have Rigoberto Raton Ayala. Sir, how are you?
John, how are you? I'm doing great. Getting over this cold finally. And it's getting warmer in the Northeast, so that's always good.
Well, glad to have you. Well, it's apparently going to be cold because I'm heading up to the Northeast myself this weekend. And I'm bringing my Norwegian sweater and my crazy parka. So
you know what's funny is that last week it was in like the low teens and like single digits. So this week it's up to like 35. It feels like summer up here.
Yeah, I'll bet.
I'm not even gonna lie. Like tomorrow it's supposed to be 50 here in New York. Like it's like I want to go out in a t-shirt.
Well, I think you should. But glad that you're over your illness. I'm sure you were happy with your Chivas getting a point in Toluca, which we talked about last week is probably the toughest place to play in Liga MX. So anytime your team can walk away with something positive in the point column, it's always a good thing. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But before we do that, let's welcome the other member who has joined us out in Escondido, California, the one and only Daniel Preciado, who is not only a member of the CantinaMX podcast, but he is also a fan of the team that sits currently in first place in Liga MX. Daniel Preciado, how are you?
That's right. Feeling like a champion right now.
Yeah.
As short-lived as it will be.
Well, I don't know how short-lived. This could be that dream season that fans always. You can't win them all unless you win the first one. So.
But yeah, good. Obviously, a really, really good start. Lots of goals, which is a positive.
So not only, Dan, at the end of the season, are they going to say that Santos is the Manchester City of Liga MX? What they're going to be saying is Manchester City is the Santos of the EPL. Is how good a season you're going to end up having.
Your mouth, God's ears.
Daniel Pesado, good to have you with us. Glad that your team got off to a good start. Pumas as well came from behind in dramatic fashion to win 3-2 at Pachuca. So for Pumas,
that goal, like, was a thing of beauty, man.
The third goal with the back heel pass.
I yelled it like it was a Santos goal. I was just like amazed by how perfect and beautiful that play worked out. I was once the back heel went through perfectly, like you're rooting for the goal so hard at that point. You're like, come on,
right?
Just finish it.
And the best part about the goal was that he didn't have, a lot of strikers, make this huge mistake. You have to like power it past the goalie. And I don't know how many times you see, guys just line up and just, think that they can just, if they kick it hard enough, even if he stops it, it's still going to be a goal. And Castillo just passed it into the net, knowing that the goalie wasn't going to stop his. All he had to do was just put it on, the general direction he wanted to do. And it was
pick
perfect.
A spot and just pass it. Yeah.
Exactly. And it worked out. And for Pumas to get a win, that Alistusa signing was fantastic because frankly, Pumas has been awful ever since they inexplicably got rid of Matias Britos, who I believe is very close to signing with. There's somebody I read this week. It was over on the coast, and we'll talk. So I'm glad to see him back in the league. Yeah, but Pumas and Santos to both get wins in seasons where they absolutely positively have to get 20 or so points. so that they don't have to deal with the specter of the drop zone as other teams do, or as they may have to, rather, depending on how well they
Well,
do.
like you said, Pumas is gonna have to deal with that season for a bit longer. So you want to start building up that cushion now. So Santos, I mean, if they keep going like this, they can work themselves out of the mess pretty quickly, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is no question, and like you said, Santos, as you pointed out earlier this week, Dan said that they got rid of a lot of unnecessary pieces, cast them off over to Chivas,
Fool's
and
gold. No, I'm kidding. I'm
Fool's
hoping.
gold.
actually, those guys are really good players, and they should. I mean, I
I'm
don't necessarily
absolutely
think that
rooting for
Chivas
them.
needed another, attacking midfield. How many attacking midfielders do Chivas have?
We got like 12 of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I didn't think we needed guys on the line, to be honest. Um, but I feel like maybe they felt Orbelin maybe might drop back into like a more defensive role. But really, it was I didn't think he was necessary. He definitely wasn't uh, uh, something that they needed. I thought they needed center backs, and they needed a defensive midfielder. So we let ours go. Maybe a striker. Well, we got Ronaldo. But definitely not an attacking midfielder. But I think maybe they're looking for the future. If Pizarro leaves or Orbelin leaves, or
Yeah, but that's the thing about Pizarro is that he has to play, balls to the wall, crazy good. For Chivas to even entertain an offer of selling him. I mean, he's not going anywhere with the money that they paid for him. It's just they're gonna squeeze out every drop
What
of juice out of that deal.
would they pay John 18 million
Well, that's
or
reportedly.
something?
Who
Reportedly.
knows what the real number was? But I mean, regardless, I
I
mean,
mean, if that's true, I mean, you're right. I mean, that's just an insane amount of money.
we talk about this all the time on the show. I mean, Chivas they pay a double premium
yeah, for players.
for players. So I mean, players that would normally like.
And that might be another angle, John. They get these players before their value jumps up too high.
Right.
That's probably what
Kind of like rolling the dice a little
that's
bit.
probably what they're trying to do with Gael Sandoval and Ronaldo Cisneros. It's trying to get them before their value is too high.
So that they can, so a player like that they can move on, move
yeah,
off, ship off.
Yeah, in case it doesn't work out.
Well, even if it does work out, it would be a certain, definitely another way to negotiate.
It is a way to circumvent that gnarly penalty for fielding only Mexicans. It's
I'm not gonna
I
lie.
sincerely hope
I'm
it
starting
works
to
out
think
for
about
them.
it. If that becomes a practice for them, it could actually be quite brilliant, actually, for Chivas to do that.
If there's enough teams that are spitting out some decent kids, yeah.
Like, I thought that kid from Toluca who scored the goal against Chivas. What's his name? Let me pull it up. I thought he's really good.
Yeah.
I forgot what his name was.
Let's talk about Chivas
since Ernesto Vega.
Since you brought them up, Mister Ayala, we should talk a little about Chivas because they were in the news again this week. They said, oh, you know what, Alanis can go ahead and play after all. We're. I mean, seriously, what a mess it was. I mean, how many times could they? There's like a rake in front of them. They step on the rake, hits them in the face, they fall. They're like, oh, I'm not gonna, and they did it like 5 times in a row. I'm definitely not stepping on the rake this time.
There's definitely so many layers to this, and like so many like dropping of the ball. Like it was just bad. Like I heard earlier this week or on Monday that Alanis supposedly had offers from Monterrey, Tigres, and Querétaro for 3-year deals.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to wonder
who's putting this out.
Yeah, exactly. Is it his agent that's putting that out, or?
Well, apparently his agent, who's Italian, wanted him to go to Europe. Um, like he just wanted him to go to Europe, and so that's supposedly that was his stance. And then you have the club who doesn't want him to play.
But isn't he a little too old to go to Europe? Alanis? I mean, is he even
He's
good enough to?
26, isn't he?
I mean, he can play in.
I don't think he's good enough to go to Europe. But I mean, Massa went to Europe,
Yeah,
and he
but
wasn't good
Massa
when he
was
went.
much better than Alanis when he went. I mean, Massa played. I didn't actually play in the World Cup, but I mean, he'd been on the national team for a solid 4 or 5 years before he even went. I mean, Alanis.
And
Yeah,
even
Alanis is
amongst Troncos,
Alanis is
he seems considerably faster than Alanis.
Alanis is 28. Yeah,
He's 28. Holy smokes!
yeah, he's
How's a
old.
guy like that 28? That's crazy. I mean, yeah, that there's. So I'm not even sure that that's even true.
His age?
No, that he no that he wanted to go to Europe. That he wanted to go to Europe. I mean, did he really want to go to Europe?
I don't know.
What was the rumor? Getafe?
Well, supposedly now that he's coming back, Vergara's saying that he's going to play 6 months and then after the World Cup go to Europe.
Well, yeah, it's because he's going to be a free agent. But
Who
Chivas
would, who in
won't have a
Europe
say in
would
it.
want? Who in Europe would want a 28-year-old?
If
Exactly.
he's cheap and free, then I mean,
That's true. For free, I guess.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that makes him a lot more attractive because they're not really investing anything in him really. So if they kind of think that he can fill a role, then
Well,
I
again,
can see him not embarrassing himself on a lot of teams in a lot of leagues over there.
what was most telling about this whole ordeal was the fact that the coach, the general manager, and the owner all had a different position, or at least a different established public position, and as in what to do with the player. And then the one that I really feel bad for was the coach having to say, well, he's not in our plans. And then they send out the guides that they send out. It's like how on earth could a guy, a national team player, a guy who, when healthy, has been decently enough for sure to start for Chivas and start consistently. I mean he's not like a world beater, but he's not terrible either. I mean it's not like there are no jokes in Guadalajara about it every time they score the goal. Se la fue alanizada. It just
Yeah.
it's not that doesn't happen with the guy. So there was obviously something, that was extra cancha that was going on in that situation that obviously we're never going to be privy to, even though
But
they always say un día les sabrán la verdad, and no one ever says it.
Yeah, nobody's ever says anything.
you know what, John? Though, true to his word, though, he said he was going to fix it.
Who, Vergara?
He did say
Yeah,
that.
I mean, he said he was going to rectify it on some level. Like we didn't really know what he meant, but maybe that meant just like, hey, you know what? And I think maybe it's just the horrible publicity that it created.
That's what I
think
think
it was
it
like
was.
damage control. Is like let's just let him play and try to save a little bit of face, and then.
Well, do you think, Dan, that Vergara walked into? See, I wish we need another Chiva on here. I know that we have Rigo, but this would be a great because Chivas fans always have their own theories. But do you think that he walked into Higuera's office and just read him the riot act?
Is that so? Who made you pope in this dump, huh?
So
Pretty much.
Well, supposedly after his interview or during his interview, he said that there's going to be some shaking up of the front office.
I mean, that could only mean one thing.
So
there's going to be. He should might as well have said there's going to be a new general manager.
and he did say that like Almeida was still going to be the sporting director or whatever he is that he does on that side. But for him to fire Higuera, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him, but it would just seem irrational to do it. I get it. They dropped the ball. It was bad PR. But I wouldn't fire him.
It was. Well, I mean, it wasn't just bad PR. I mean, it all stemmed from something, and
Yeah,
that something was that they didn't want this cat to
But even still, though,
play.
if like, why make such a stink about it though? It just seemed like a really dumb way to handle it. Just I don't understand what you gain by
benching the
shaming
player.
the guy and sending him to even if he's not in your plans, let him just say the right thing. Well, he's practicing with everybody else. And I'm playing. I'm going to play the best player or whatever, whoever's in best form, whatever. And then you can say that publicly, and then just don't play him. But to put him like with the youth squad or whatever he was playing with is, I mean, that's just like a bitter move that everybody caught on and that everybody just kind of like rightfully kind of just chastised him for
Yeah,
it.
I mean, it was whatever decision that was made to have this rift between the player and club was just exacerbated by just one bad decision after the other. I mean, and by the end of it, I mean, it was they dug themselves such a hole that they had no choice but to bring him back and then pretend like nothing had ever happened. It was just
But at least we get a glimpse as to the managing style of Higuera.
Yeah,
Iron fist type of management, humiliation. He probably makes his assistants wear dunce hats if they fuck up somewhere.
That's it. I cannot work under these conditions.
yeah, and then, I mean, I said it in the last podcast. He threw Almeida under the bus
twice.
on Football Picante, and then he made Almeida go. I don't know if it was directly him or Vergara, but he made them go on national television, say what he had to say about benching the player, and then he made him go back on TV and take it all back.
He made him do that twice on TV. He made it in both press conferences. In the first one, it was on Almeida was in the orders to say, "Oh, this guy's he's not part of our plans." And then 1 week later, I was just kidding about that, not part of the plan stuff. I mean, come on. I mean, I just feel so bad for the guy. I mean, it's stuff like that makes you, I mean, how does that sit with him at the end of the season? Win or lose for Almeida to be made to, look. Look at. I don't want to use the word ridiculous, but just just make the whole team just look so bad. And
it was terrible PR, really bad.
Yeah. Now, as far as the actual Chivas fan, I'm a outside observer, a neutral witness to this whole stuff. Chivas isn't usually as much of a train wreck as other teams, but they have their moments. It's certainly a novela. But as far as Chivas fans, I mean, who, people always take sides. I mean, are there any sides to take here other than just to realize that everyone is, to a very small degree, but to a certain degree, the player just acting all like all the buffoon in this whole thing. I mean,
I think every fan is different. I think like it depends on your perspective. Like I know, like talking to my dad, my dad was like he had to have done something. Like what did he do for the club to treat him this way? And then like from my perspective, like I just think the club dropped the ball. Like they just handled it completely incorrectly. Like I blame the club.
Maybe it was some extra cancha
He
stuff.
was banging cocktail waitresses 2 at a time.
It could be. I mean, he could have definitely gotten on his high horse, let the national team call-ups get to his head, and demanded certain stuff the team didn't want to do.
Was he starting last season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's been starting for what 2 or 3 years, right? When he's been healthy, he's been
healthy, he's starting. Yeah.
I mean, he is the one of the I can't say it right now.
I know what you mean.
Fixtures on the roster. Inamovibles.
Yeah, when he's healthy, he's starting. But
yeah, so for them to to pretend that he wasn't part of their plans, I mean, it was just like, come on. Ay.
But I mean,
it could have been something as simple as mouthing off to the guy.
It could have been, or like, you know what, like I'm not signing your contract, and that's that, or I want more money, and they were like, we don't want to pay you. I don't know. Like we don't know
Maybe
what
Alanis
happened.
was
Yeah.
that guy that got really drunk at the Christmas party and said some pretty awful stuff.
He
Maybe
could have. That might have been it.
Yeah.
They got into a screaming match.
That
I mean,
happens sometimes too.
last season was bad, so who knows what was going on in that locker room.
Right. Well, we'll talk about Chivas a little later, but I guess the
Too
other
bad
big.
Joel's not here because he'd probably be able to lend some pretty decent
Oh,
theories.
I am sure that when Joel hops on with us here in about 20 minutes, that he will. Well, we'll have to break out the X-Files music for Joel's.
His
I like
birthday today,
for
right?
some of his theories. Is it his birthday?
Well, he said it was his 15.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, happy birthday, Joel.
Oh, and he's still going to be on the show.
That is
Lucky us.
dedication.
That's
That is dedication.
Dedication.
Yeah. Well, he still has to get on the show. So, all right.
That is true. That is true. Now the other big story I want to talk about before we do a deeper dive in some other topics here on the CantinaMX podcast is the big news out of London today that Chicharito has put, or rather West Ham has put Chicharito on the lista de transferibles for the transfer market, and there are some options afoot for Chicharito if it doesn't work out for him at West Ham, which doesn't appear like it's going to.
It's terrible, but it's also fantastic. I mean, this is his lifeline. Get the hell out of there.
I've heard Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
I've heard LAFC.
I think that'll happen in July and August.
I know Chivas wants him. I mean, they tried to get him before.
Well, that'd be the only place he could play in Mexico.
Yeah.
He probably plays, and for him, he probably wouldn't want to play anywhere else. Maybe Morelia, because I know that he spent a lot of time there as a kid. Which, frankly, honestly, like a Chicharito Ruidíaz combination in Morelia would be outstanding.
I was going to say that makes them instant contenders right there.
No kidding.
They have a pretty decent squad.
But anyway, that's just just a quick thought. As you were saying, Rigon, didn't mean before.
No, it's fine. Those are the only teams that I've heard. I mean, I think he needs to leave West Ham ASAP. I mean,
yeah, and it's not that it's not that West Ham. I mean, it's just because the coach situation. If the coach
David
doesn't
Moyes,
rate you, then there's, and if you have an opportunity and he has an opportunity, then
it's hard to play well when you know the guy doesn't already kind of doesn't like your style, and if anything, it makes you kind of try harder in a sense,
right?
Harder than kind of like what's that saying? Work smarter, not harder.
And the worst thing for Chicharito is that when he finally does get to play, they play him in such a defensive posture that aside from the fact that that's just not, it didn't play to his strengths at all. Then he's rusty on top of everything else, and when he finally could have any kind of plays on goal, I mean they're attacking with like 2 and 3 guys at a time. I mean it definitely did not make Chicharito.
You honestly, guys, you guys don't think though that some other European team, like a decent team out there, is gonna say, "Yeah, I'll take him"?
I'll tell you what. If I have to refresh myself with who's in because I would love for Chicharito to go to a team that's playing in the Champions League and that has a chance to at least make it to the quarters and maybe the semis. That would be
I could see maybe possibly a return to Manchester. Why not? I mean, if he's going to be on the cheap because they want to get rid of him or something, I don't know how that works.
And Mourinho
he's a fan.
Has sent Flowery. Yeah, he's like, I could score a lot of goals with that guy.
And I'm all right with him being a super sub role on a top team like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
Start
if he's
start
if he's
start
getting
start.
if he's getting 40 minutes, I think that's solid. 40 minutes a game, maybe
well,
even
40
more.
minutes a game where he can play to his strength, not
Yeah,
40 minutes a game where he's the lone striker, where all 8 of his other teammates or 9 of his other teammates are all in their defending third of the field. What is he supposed to do there? It
what about like a Roma or a Sevilla? Who's the striker at Sevilla?
I know that Sevilla has thought of him before, and they had that Clement guy back out there for a while. But I think that they went and got another one.
They got Sarabia, Correa. I don't know any of those guys. They have Guido Pizarro there from Tigres. I mean, but that's a Champions League club.
I'm just thinking that there cannot be a shortage. There has to be several teams that would be interested in getting him on their team. I mean they cannot possibly like he hasn't just lost it overnight.
No,
he plays on a team that
made a coaching change.
Obviously hindsight with the coaching change too, but even before that they were playing terribly. He wasn't really getting a whole lot of chances, and it wasn't a good fit. It didn't work out. They're not a team that's going to be creating a ton of chances, and he needs service.
Yeah, he needs somebody to feed him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he is he is a 6-yard striker. He's a 6-yard box striker, and there's nothing wrong.
And in moments he is effective out in the wing and dropping back a bit. He does do all that well also, but his the bulk of his time needs to be ending the play, trying to. And that's where he always seems to succeed the most, because he also opens up for the other striker or the winger, just because he drags defenders so well.
Even in that goal that Andy Fowler scored, or Andy Carroll scored that game winner that West Ham got a few weeks ago. I mean, that's exactly what Chicharito did. Is that he was pulling 2, and then a third one was kind of lagging, and then Andy Carroll was wide open on the wing because there was nobody covered because they were all worried about Javier, who, by the way, was also open on the play. So, but despite the fact that he was being chased by 2 or 3 guys, he was able.
Yeah, he does a lot of things.
Oh yeah, I have never. Well, he is as good a striker as far as splitting defenders as there is on the planet. I mean, there's no question that his ability inside the box to find space and get open is
probably some of the best in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, he does a really good job with that. No, that is his key strength, I think.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him playing in front of Pulido for 6 months, to be honest. But that's just me.
Okay, so those are his options. So let's weigh the realistic options for Chicharito. I think the most realistic, unfortunately, is he's probably going to stay. So yeah, I would put that at about like 40%.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't just
the bench.
Right, you don't just get rid of your leading scorer when you're in a relegation thing. I mean, coach, why don't you change your system to adapt to what you have instead of forcing players to play what you want? At this time. I mean, I understand that you're in a relegation.
I mean, why would it? I feel like West Ham should have at least, Cheech is their biggest player. Like, consult him about the manager that you're trying to bring in.
Oh, they would never talk to the players. You could.
And then why would you bring in David Moyes, who is just terrible?
Well, I mean, he's not terrible, but I mean, he's not. He's not he's not an attack-minded coach, especially when the team's in relegation. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Now I will say that Leverkusen, his first year when he went there, also had a very slow start, and it was looking like, what's going on here. But they turned it around enough to the point where, they ended up qualifying for the Champions League, and a lot of that was due to Chicharito because they had a run in, right after the winter break that they were just winning games left and right. And he was scoring.
But that team was ultra offensive though.
And that's the kind of team that he needs to go to. I would love for Chicharito to go back to the Bundesliga. I think the Bundesliga fits him very well.
I don't know why he didn't stay there.
Maybe there wasn't enough tacos de trompo in Cologne.
Maybe the relationship soured with some of the players.
Well, remember they lost their coach too. I mean, again, a new coach comes in, and and Chicharito's also. I mean, at this point, it's definitely going to be an interesting decision. Okay, so probably staying at West Ham so he can go to. I mean, Chivas would probably be the one that makes the second most sense.
I mean, I'd love to see him there, but will he go? Probably not. I realistically, I don't think so. I mean, for a 6-month loan though, why not?
Well, how long is this contract?
Well, it's his first year at West Ham, so I'm sure his contract is probably 2 or 3 years for sure. Maybe probably 3. West Ham wants. Yeah. Here's the deal. If it's not going to work out with Moises Chicharito, they should just understand that now. If they loan out Chicharito, and he ends up, getting playing himself back into rhythm and getting on a hot streak, and then goes to the World Cup, scores 3 or 4 goals, maybe gets a late winner against a shocking late winner against
3 or 4 goals, really?
He scored.
He scored. Man, I'm hoping I see it.
Well,
3-4 goals. That's a ton in the World Cup.
Wait a second. We paid this much for him. We can sell him for this much more. It is good business for them. If they're not going to play him, if he doesn't fit, then what do they have to lose?
I just think that when they publicize it like that, it just seems like a clear sign that they don't want him. Please take him.
Well, like I said, if it's the new coach,
and if they want to just eat it, then I mean, I don't know.
I will say the Manchester United fans love him. They love him.
Yeah,
they do.
They want him back. Some of them want him back.
So I think even a lot of the West Ham fans feel that he's being wasted on some level. That it's not all on him.
That is honestly, I think the third most likely place where he would end up is Manchester United.
Really, over LAFC?
Well, I think LAFC is going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen right now.
I think it'll happen after the World Cup.
I think it'll happen after the World Cup.
Yeah, because their season won't even be starting for a while either.
Yeah, he won't play. He won't play till March. So that's 2 months of activity that he won't have.
I mean, I think the Mexicans abroad need to make moves to teams where they play, where they're allowed to play. I know. I heard Raul Jimenez. I heard America.
He ain't going anywhere.
I heard America inquired about him, and they wouldn't loan him to America.
He's not going anywhere. I mean, again, they can. You can spin it however you want, but if you're a player, and you're at a team that makes its living on selling players, and you spurn a $50-something million deal, there's going to be some consequences, whether people want to admit it or not. And I think because of that, Raul Jimenez is going to stay at Benfica and play sparingly the rest of his contract.
He spurned the deal?
Yeah, he was the one that said no.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
To go where? China?
To go to China. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I can see why he would say no.
Right, but Benfica didn't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very unfortunate. I mean, it's so that's why I do believe that it's going to be hard for him.
Well, that's why it's imperative that these guys have. I think everybody's sincerely hoping their hardest that they have good World Cups, because that'll be their chance to to sell him.
Yeah, so outside of those three, then I would probably put somewhere else in Europe, and then the last one being LAFC. For now, I think it'll happen. I just don't think it's going to happen that soon. But we do have folks that it sounds like somebody is on the side of a freeway. I'm not sure who that is.
Selling oranges.
Yeah, but we do have.
That's me, John.
Yeah, you are you? How many naranjas do
I'm
you
in
have
the
left
car.
to sell? How many naranjas do you have left to sell, Joel?
I'm in my last batch.
Yeah, Joel, is it your birthday today, Joel?
No,
No.
but it's my quinceañera, John.
Fake news.
My quince doing this stuff. I did my first article in 03. It was La Volpe. La Volpe takes over. Actually, was it December 02 or?
Yeah, I think it was 02. I think you missed it by a year, so it's you missed it, Joel.
No, but I counted as. I counted as the next. But yeah, ya estoy veterano.
So that was the,
well, we wished you a happy birthday.
We did.
Here, so it's your birthday now.
Rigo is my chambelán d'honor.
Yeah. January 11th is your new birthday.
Do they have quinceañeras on the East Coast there, Rigo?
Yeah, they do. They do. I've been a part of a few. Whenever that Trayan song comes on, I can't help but just do the dance to one of the quinceañeras I was in. It doesn't matter where I'm at. That song
El
comes
Vals?
on. Yeah. Like as soon as the song comes on, I automatically just start doing the dance without even like thinking about it.
I was probably like in 6 of them, man. I was like the guy to pick.
Because I was guapo, pues.
Well, I don't want to toot my own horn.
Congratulations, Dan. You're so modest. After about the 6th or 7th time they picked me, I was just getting tired of it.
I mean, I went to 2 proms. That says anything about me.
2 proms.
You make a good date.
One is that when I went to a senior as a junior, so there's that.
Is that not a normal thing? Because I did that too.
Oh, okay. I mean, I didn't think so.
Yeah, so did I. I didn't burst his bubble.
Well, Joel, we're glad you're on now. Actually, but before we jump into other stuff, I do want to make mention of the fact that one of our now that we have Albert Chiquis Campa joins us. Chiquis, where are you joining us from tonight? Are you over on the east side, or are you elsewhere?
No, I'm back home.
You're back home. Well, thanks for joining us. How was jiu-jitsu tonight?
Oh, it was last night. The last 2 nights actually.
Did you make anybody submit to your dominance?
Yeah, I believe so. We did 10-minute rounds last night though, so I was about to throw up. But yeah, it was good. It was fun. Normally it's 5-minute rounds, but 10-minute rounds is a little much.
10-minute rounds. Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Well, I do want to mention we have a viewer who had asked us. This I think this is the first time that this has happened in our 100 number of shows that we've had. That a viewer has asked us questions to answer, and this is Eduardo D. He doesn't want to give his full name because he doesn't want people to know that he listens to the show. Apparently, Eduardo D. Who I'm assuming lives in New York. Has 3 questions. This is the first question. He says, since we were talking about alternative teams for struggling Europeos for minutes that are not MLS. Any rumors? Well, we obviously have been talking about Chicharito. I just saw a rumor that Miguel Layun could possibly be headed over to Real Betis. Those are the only rumors that I've heard at this point. Gentlemen, do you guys have any rumors to satiate the quench for knowledge that our friend Eduardo D has on this topic?
The only random rumor that I had heard was about Chucky, but that doesn't really answer his question. That he's talking about the guys who aren't seeing minutes.
Well, I think we also covered Raul Jimenez. At least, I mean, Joel, you might feel differently. I think that because of the fact that that Raul Jimenez spurned the big $50+ million deal with the Chinese team, that is not going to go anywhere for Benfica, and they're not going to do anything to kind of help him get anywhere.
Well, I mean, I would expect they're hoping he has a good World Cup.
So that's going to be about the only place that he's going to have a vitrina is at the World Cup, because as far as the minutes go, not so much.
I think that's the case for about 4 of them. All the Porto guys.
Well, the Porto guys seem to be in a rotation.
Well, Herrera's had a pretty decent year, from what I can see. He's had a pretty good year. Tecatito's, it's understandable, his situation.
Right.
You hope he's his head's all in the right place. By the time the World Cup comes around, because obviously he's still dealing. I'm sure he's still dealing with the loss. So that kind of thing, you kind of understand. But Reyes seems to have worked himself in. So it's not that dire. But I think all those guys, if they want to make a move to a big team, it's got to happen over the summer.
Right, and
I'm sure these teams didn't get him to keep him.
I mean, especially the Portuguese teams. I mean, they're not. That's just not who they are or what they. Particularly Porto, for sure. Benfica, maybe not as prolific, but they certainly like that part of the business as well, or excel in that part of the business as well. As far as anybody else, I mean, obviously Lozano's doing well, and so I'm having a.
But
Guardado's having a terrific season.
To kind of answer his question, though, yeah. I think, well, it's a concern. The team is. There's been players that have not seen a whole lot of minutes that have gone to the World Cup and performed well. So having consistent playing time isn't a guarantee that you're gonna that they're gonna walk in and super sharp. Is it ideal? No, but you never know. You never know the team, especially in the group stages. They tend to get themselves up for it. So I expect the same thing. I'm not overly concerned.
I would prefer that they going into the World Cup. They've been playing.
Joel?
Well, in the last World Cup, we saw some problems with players being exhausted. So this could work, Van a llegar bien descansados. All of these guys that Dos Santos and Jimenez, and they're going to be well rested, rearing to go.
They will definitely not have as much tread on the tires as some of the players from the other teams. All right. So next question we have from Eduardo D. asks, do you think Liga MX should become an export league and sell Mexicans at cheap prices?
It's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's never. I mean, they want to become more of an importers league.
Well, the cheap prices thing, it's like you're not going to do all that work to sell it cheap. I mean, who would do that, Why are you going to put so much work and investment in years and then just let them go? I mean, I can see why he thinks that way, because South America, and players go for cheap compared to Europe.
Right, but that's their
to them
model.
it's but to them it's that's a bit more money. Mexico deals with more money than pretty much the majority of South America. So getting 2 million, even like 5 is nothing for. It's just not worth it.
Right. Now, I do think that Mexico will sell, and frankly, and Joel, we'd like to ask you this here in a minute. But with the fact that MLS is going to be expanding to, as we talked about this every week, to 32 teams or 28 teams, whatever the number is, that's a lot of positions. And if Mexican players aren't going to get the opportunities in Mexico, and they're plenty good enough to play in Liga MX, and they're plenty good enough to play in MLS. I would if I were MLS, I would look to Liga MX like for this kid the Santos forward that's now at Chivas. Ronaldo Cisneros.
Yes.
He might show some flashes, but if they're just guys in front of him, they're just too good, and it is what it is.
He has been wasting his time in Liga MX, John. To be honest, the player at his age, he should have way more playing time. Like the amount of minutes he has for, I think his birthday just passed. Not sure if he's 21 or 22, but it's almost nothing. It's ridiculous, and for the talent he's shown, it's just he's wasting away.
Hey,
Yeah, he is. So why not go to the new expansion team in Nashville?
for Mexico to become an export league, I desire that for Liga MX. But if you look at the national team getting Pocho players like Jonathan Gonzalez, that's never going to happen. We're relying on U.S. youth on the national team.
Who is?
Mexico? The Mexican national team is.
No, they're not relying on U.S.
How
youth.
are we going to be an exporters league if we're
Thank you, John.
we're needing importers into the national team? So it's just
We're really one player, and all of a sudden that changes the paradigm. Come on,
it's not just one player.
Let's be.
We got America with a starting gringo defense or Joe Corona.
What's wrong with that?
Do you have a problem with the Argentines? What difference does it make?
How are we going to have an exporters league when Mexicans can't even?
I mean, what percentage? I'm just curious. What percentage of the entirety of the quote unquote Mexican player is made up of players that were born in the U.S.? I'm just. What is it, like 10-15%? Maybe.
Yeah, it's a small amount.
All right. So then why are you clutching your pearls over this?
Because how are we going to be an exporters league if we can't even have if Cisneros has to go to MLS?
Mexico doesn't want to be exporter league. The owners don't want that.
Right. They're never going to be an exporters league.
They make too much money. They make too much money already buying, selling South Americans, man.
If there wasn't any money, even if the money wasn't
mucho lavado ahí.
Even if money wasn't an issue, the quality of players that Argentina and Brazil have to dominate and to fill up their whole entire league is plenty, and then they send all these players out to Europe. And Mexico can't even fill up their own league with their players.
Because Mexico is not an exporters league. Mexico's an importers league.
That's a problem.
That and they're not developing the players. I think we talked about this. There's obviously
yeah, we have.
There's obviously a disconnect between making that step to Primera, because in the youth levels they seem to be doing more than enough as far as the national teams go.
Good Lord. Are you okay?
Building a stage over there?
Well,
I think he's hacking into his phone.
No,
like, literally.
I dropped my my earpiece, but I'm gonna say it's the culture of Mexican soccer, because once the league changed to the short format season, we changed the way we view the game. So for teams, it's more important to qualify to Liguilla. That's even though it's half a season, we see it as a full season.
Right.
And having one bad half a season, it's already a fracaso, and they'll fire a coach.
I guess I kind of understand the teams not playing these kids or these Mexican players if they're not as good as the other guns.
Well, I mean, but that's the whole thing where it's like they don't have enough time to develop or to play, and the owners want, because the money's all on TV. So you want your team to be in the Liguilla to get that extra income. So they don't really care anymore about, I'm going to develop. And we talked about this a few podcasts, how teams rarely have those iconic players that are like symbols. Like you had, for many years, you had like Hermosillo at Cruz Azul. And certain players, like you had Osvaldo Sanchez, who played for so many years at Chivas. And you kind of don't get players like that.
Yeah,
Well, the players that are
absolutely
that
right.
good are going to be playing in Europe now.
Right.
If they're that good, they're going to be in Europe. What I do
And the
think though
point
is that
is
what
I
I
mean, for
was.
me, go ahead,
Go
Dan.
ahead. Sorry. Go
No,
ahead. Go
it's
ahead.
not, no, please, by all right. Which is why the MLS is so important for the Mexican player because of the fact that the opportunities are going to be limited in Mexico. I mean, why not take advantage of the fact that there's a league right next door, where you can live a very comfortable life, play soccer 6 months out of the year, against decent competition, and why can't MLS be a feeder league to Europe for Mexican players just like
Yeah.
MLS? What is wrong with that? I mean, isn't the ultimate goal to for fans of the national team to get the best possible
For
players? The
for
only way that's going to
for
happen
those players
is
who aren't good enough
number.
to land starting gigs on Mexican teams, then yes, playing time and development. You're going to develop a lot more playing than training in the MX. That's for sure. So and it could work out. I mean, it worked out for what is it Salcedo?
Didn't
Right.
work for
The
Kubo.
MLS didn't seem to hurt him at all.
I think
Or
MLS.
Blanco,
MLS
Cuauhtemoc Blanco.
as you think. MLS didn't work out for Kubo.
But it is working out. He's doing pretty good, man.
No, he's not.
Well, Cuba
Yeah.
had started off well, and then
He lost
they
cause
were
anyway.
about to send him to Veracruz.
Veracruz has no money, John. I don't know if that was they're punishing him then.
Right.
MLS. The point is, MLS isn't as easy as it isn't a guaranteed spot. I think. For
I'm not saying it's a guaranteed
No.
spot, but all I'm saying is that there are. I mean, again, there's going to be 28. There's going to be 28 teams, almost 32 teams in MLS. That's a lot
Yeah.
of positions. There's no reason why, one of the Ronaldo Cisneros type can't get picked up by the new Sacramento franchise.
Minimum, there should be about 20 Mexicans.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit. But there should be at least 20 Mexicans in MLS.
Oh,
But
yeah, exactly. I mean, and the problem with Mexico right now is with the new 9-9 rule or whatever it is. Then the teams are only required to keep 9 Mexicans.
Yeah. How many Argentines, for example, are in Mexico? Like 50 or 60? I mean, and we have just 18 teams.
Right.
What do you
I
guys
mean,
think
we should have.
is a better quality of football, Ascenso or MLS?
Uh,
I don't watch either.
Are they
I
pretty?
think MLS. I think MLS.
Yeah, I mean, I think like if you were to put like the champion of Ascenso and the champion of MLS, I think Toronto would completely.
I mean, let me put it this way: the organization is better, and
Yeah.
I mean the Ascenso is a mess, dude. You don't want any part of that. That's you're.
Yeah,
like that, huh?
But John, like 60, at least we should have like 50 to 60 players
Oh, absolutely.
in this
There's no
league.
question.
And I mean,
Well,
just the
I
most.
think I was gonna say I think the current format does lend itself to that kind of future for the Mexican player, for the fringe player who's not, because clearly if they're good enough, I mean, a team like Monterrey is going to be playing a kid who's 18. I mean, and now we can call him Mexican, but that does goes to show that if they are good enough, they will play. That tells me that the players that are coming out, like there's not a whole lot of players that are
I agree with Joel.
that are able to plug them in. So why not MLS?
We always talk about numbers. Yes, everyone believes that for the Mexican, as far as the national team goes, for the national team, to be better and to excel, they have to have as many players playing at the highest level as possible. I don't think anybody denies that. I mean, that's just the reality, because that's
everyone except Ronnie.
Germany. All 23 of Germany's players play. All 23 of Germany's players play at the highest level. All 23 of Italy's, etc. So if you want to be able to compete and beat a team like that, you have to have anyway. So the only way to do that is to have numbers, and the only way to have numbers is to have as many Mexicans playing as possible. And if that means that FC Dallas sells a guy to Tottenham, and he happens to be Mexican, fantastic. And does it really matter if it's FC Dallas or Chiapas that sells a player to Porto?
No.
Exactly. So Liga MX will never be an exported league in that sense, but there's no reason why Mexican players can't use MLS to help them in that as well. And and there could be some players that that's why I'm excited about MLS and the possibility for these players, because I think that it could really make, especially if they have those cups that we've talked about on the show, it'd make them really exciting.
No, and you know what, John? I think Chivas dropped the ball by letting Chivas USA go. I think that's a team they could have rebranded, and they would have that would have been like their feeder team. I mean, not only to get Mexican American players, but even to sell or trade. And I think they just dropped the ball big time right there.
Yeah, it was. And then especially now with what you see, the way that LAFC has. I mean, me quito el sombrero. I mean, they are just. It's impressive. I'm an LAFC fan. I don't live. I've driven by a hole that was the construction of the stadium. One time in my life.
Yeah.
But their marketing and presence is so outstanding that it's made. And I mean everything. Their branding and everything is just. I mean, talk about hitting a home run. They have hit a home run. LAFC.
Yeah, and this is the one thing that I saw earlier, because every time ex-player to ex-seleccionado to MLS, I always see like a lot of hate. And this is the thing for me. I understand the need to have players in the top teams and in Champions League, but I don't want a player in Europe if they're being devalued and treated bad. I mean, what's the point of that? I'd rather be in the league where you're being treated like royalty, man. It's a little bit kind of sad that we still haven't had players that could like make a mark, or break through, because I feel they should be, for the reasons we talked about earlier, so that this league could just be getting more and more Mexican players, and then we will just see more talent, which is the really good players will end up in Europe, instead of just relying on 10 players that we get.
Exactly.
We could be sending like 3 times that much, and even that's a little compared to the top teams.
I mean, there's probably 30.
We're being very picky.
Playing in the EPL.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. Yeah. So that's what. Hopefully that'll answer that question. And then the last question we have from our friend Eduardo D. Talking about scheduling friendlies. Seeing Argentina schedule 2 friendlies against Italy and Spain. Does some force us to play weaker teams for FIFA windows? Wonder why we can't just use our some moleros after the World Cup and get just play quality opponents abroad. Well, the last couple of years, Mexico has signed a contract with some to play 6 games in the U.S. I'm not sure if 2018 is the same way. I don't know why it wouldn't be. I mean, the other ones have been 6, and then they'll have 3. And then you can rest assured they'll play at least 1 before, maybe 2, maybe even a 3rd one before they head on over to Russia or to Europe, and then play a few more friendlies there. Now they are contracted now. I think Mexico wants to schedule as good an opponent as possible. The problem that some has and the Mexico has is convincing people to make the trip because they're going to play in the U.S. and that's why Argentina can play Italy and Spain and England and whoever else they want, because they have. How many players does Argentina have in Europe? 100. I mean, they could field 2 teams.
Yeah, they could field 2 teams over there.
And good teams, solid competitive teams.
Even a Molero team, John. They could even have a.
Yeah, absolutely. Their
Molero team.
Their European Molero team would probably be like top 10 in the world. Anyway,
they could even do it. They have enough players to even do a CONCACAF team.
Yeah, they probably could.
they could get players from MLS and Liga MX and Ascenso and.
Yeah, Brazil could too. Yeah, but anyway, so that's why that's the hardest thing for Mexico and the Sum deal is to get the teams to come over and play, and then they're just not going to do it in March. Also, when the season's winding down, the fact that they got Croatia and who's the other, Iceland. Well, Mexico plays Iceland every year, and I think that's one of the reasons why Iceland has improved personally, and Mexico has played a part in that for them. They are and then they're playing Croatia. So that's the the reason, and they just today they announced that they were trying to schedule a friendly with England for England's despedida in Wembley, and they couldn't sign on the dotted line because of TV rights, and I guarantee you it was because of the English language rights in the U.S.
English language. Who wants English language?
Well, I'm not sure who carries England's rights here in the U.S., but I know that was probably the reason. To try to say why can't they both show it? I've watched Copa MX when I was in Mexico. 5 channels had a Copa MX game on. So if you want to watch it on one channel, you can't want to watch it on the other one. Anyway, so that fell through, and England's going to play Costa Rica instead. So I expect Mexico will schedule some quality opponents in Europe to lead up to them, and I think that's one of the reasons why they were a little happier with getting the draw in the later letters of the bracket, so that they are going to have, they're not going to start the World Cup right away. They'll have 3 or 4 days, so might be able to squeeze another prep game in for them to help them with that. So, and then I'm sure after the World Cup they'll probably play a couple more in the U.S., a couple more games to fulfill their contract with some. Well, before we get into the Jonathan Gonzalez stuff, I do want to because we did mention a little Chivas stuff earlier, Joel. And good Lord. And we wanted to ask you, Joel, about Chivas's what was it, Rigo? We lost Rigo. Oh, about the Chivas strategy of signing younger kids.
I think it's all made up, man.
You don't think it's a strategy at all?
I've heard that one before, John. A few years back, Vergara said, "Nuestros refuerzos es la cantera."
But they actually signed 2 young players from Santos.
Yeah, but then they sold 2 of their more experienced players. Ronaldo, they haven't even. I don't know if there's even plans to use him, because the last game he didn't even make the bench. He played with the under 20s. And you don't bring a player like that to play with the under 20s. Should be challenging for a spot. So I just think it's the money, We kind of don't have the money to have a big payroll. So then they just say that's the strategy. They said they wanted to be similar to like what Pachuca has been doing, which I just don't buy it, John. I don't buy it.
We didn't think you would.
No, mentira. I've been put through the ringer a lot, man.
No, I understand.
Even everything they say, it's never how it seems like when they said that they were doing the internet, because that was the way to go, the Chivas TV. And we talked about it here, how it was because they were just trying to negotiate other contracts. And it's been a year later, and they have contracts with they extended contracts with Univision, and they went to TVN. They're not going back to the internet stuff. I guarantee you. After these contracts end, they're not going back to internet only. They're gonna try again to get bigger deals.
Well, we do thank Eduardo D for sending us questions, and if you guys want to send questions, we will happily answer them on the air for y'all. You can do that. You can tweet us a question at @CantinaMX_pod, or you can like us on Facebook.
I got a question.
Do it that way. Hang on a second. I'm in the middle of promoting. We'll get to you. Chinga.
Is that so? Who made you open this stuff, huh?
Anyway. And of course you can you can ask us on our YouTube page as well. So please do that and give us a few likes if you haven't done so on Facebook, because I know that we do post that with regularly with breaking news throughout the day. So you'll get some soccer news updates on our CantinaMX Facebook page. So be sure to give that a like and give us a follow on the Twitter as well. Now before we move on, we do want to introduce. Actually, I'm glad that you're on, Profe. Juan Uribe joins us from Long Beach. How are you, sir?
Good. How's everybody? Thank you, John, for answering my call. I'm sorry. I'm at 10% battery, dude, and I'm driving, and I got no cable, so I'm just letting you guys know if I drop off. Then that's
man. We're in a life and death situation here, Juan, and like in 11 minutes. In 11 minutes, something awful is going to happen to one of us. You're not going to know what it is because your phone's going to fall off. Your phone's going to fall off.
Let me check my crystal ball. Maybe I'll.
Well, I'm glad you're on, and I do have to ask both of you. And I asked Rigo before we jump into the other thing. Chivas, they get a big win, not a big tie, right? A big draw at Toluca, 1-1. They escaped Toluca with a point. Lalo Lopez scored a great goal. Another player who passed the ball into the net instead of trying to blast it past the keeper.
Hey, I'm glad they're. I find it interesting they're calling him Lalo now instead of Chofis. I guess it's kind of like is that like one of those Don Marco and Marquito?
I heard Almeida requested, told him like, hey, have some self-respect, man.
Do you guys not honor that? Oh, you're saying that he told Lalo, hey, dude.
Yeah. You're named after a girl, man. It's like, girl pair.
Yeah.
You're Lalo now.
Damian Alvarez was La Chilindrina.
Yeah, I don't think he liked it though.
Well, what if he identifies like as an attack helicopter? You think he would have called him like, Black Hawk or something?
La Cobra.
Like what?
La Cobra. Cobra.
No,
man.
Cobra. There you go.
What was that? What was that TV show? Blue Thunder, or what was it?
No, well, there were two. There was Blue Thunder, and then there was Airwolf.
Airwolf, man.
That had a fantastic opening theme song.
I wouldn't mind Airwolf as a nickname, dude.
Airwolf. So both of y'all were happy with the draw. Then I'm assuming.
I was, simply because, as we talked, Chivas has always had a hard time going up against Chorizo Power over there in Toluca. I think it's 8 years now since their last win at the
It's almost as bad a dry spell as not nearly as bad as a dry spell that Pumas has in Guadalajara.
We're heading up there, John.
Yeah.
We're heading there. So I mean, yeah, to get a tie was and then given some of the controversy leading to the game, just the whole Alani stuff. So I do think it was a good result.
Right.
You know what? Christo Stoikov was criticizing Almeida's playing style. There was a free kick. I don't know if you guys remember. They could have put it in the box and try to have somebody header it in, and instead they play like a short pass or they play like a back pass to one of the defenders. I don't remember the exact situation. And then one of the guys asked us, Christo Stoikov, hey, what was that play about? He had like a little chuckle, just kind of laughing his ass off.
I don't know. I probably could have just gone wrong, Juan. You're being a bit overcritical. I thought that was your boy, man. I thought
but I mean, I just found it amusing that Cristo kind of took a shot at his playing style, that is not productive. Like right there, they could have gone for a header in the box or second post or something. And
well, that's because his leading goal scorer in that situation, Osvaldo Alanis, had been put on ice for a while. So now he gets him back. We will talk about that, but I do want to jump into to the Jonathan Gonzalez topic that, as y'all know, earlier this week, Jonathan Gonzalez announced that he has decided that he's going to try his luck with the Mexican national team. He has to do that file paperwork with FIFA with a one-time switch. He's eligible, despite the fact that he'd been playing for the U.S. national team on the youth teams for a while. He can make a one-time switch because his eligibility, nationality through his parents, and I'm happy for the kid, I guess. But to me, it's like, and I see that there were meltdowns happening for some fans on the U.S. side, and understand, but I think that's the. I think that to me is kind of the correct situation is that U.S. fans. I don't think Mexico fans do it as bad, but they used to do it as bad. U.S. fans seem to really pin their hopes on one guy a lot, whether it's Donovan who delivered, and I will I won't.
You're talking
deny
about
that.
the next Messi.
Yeah, or Pulisic, who's a terrific player, and time will tell to see how he does.
He's
And it
gone
just seems
on
like,
record saying something where he kind of expressed that, hey, look, these guys they're going a little overboard. The expectations are too high. He goes it to the head or taking too much pressure, but he's saying they're being unrealistic. And from what I guess there was a stat somewhere where he's had like the most. I guess he's lost the most 1v1s out of all the players in.
well, we talk about Pulisic.
Yeah, Pulisic.
Well, I mean, regardless. I mean, but my
Like
point
he's
is
not having that great of a season, I guess.
right. Well, but he's still, he's a talent. He's a prospect. He's still a prospect. I mean, let's
Oh,
not.
absolutely.
Yeah, and but it just seems like, I know that Mexico fans were like that for a long time too, and it just seems like they've kind of tempered that expectation of of putting stuff on the one guy. And so
Players
to
in
me, I
Barcelona,
mean,
it's like,
there's going to be battles for this, for players like this, the Mexican on the Mexican American side, for the next 10 to 15 years, and both sides are going to end up, but for the U.S. team and for Mexico, they're both going to get some players and they're going to miss on players. That's just what's going to
I
happen.
wonder, is Mexico really their top team? Because I didn't Jonathan Gonzalez he tweeted a picture of himself wearing the bunch of kids, like maybe 2 years ago.
Dude,
At a
honestly,
stage, like
I have
at
no
a
idea.
tailgate. Yeah, I think he tweeted. I guess most of them they're probably growing up as if they're growing up fans. It's probably for the Nads for the U.S. national team.
Right. So right away, it turns out that Ricardo Lavolpe, I'm sorry, excuse, good Lord, what a Freudian slip. Juan Carlos
man.
Osorio, sorry about that.
Cambios, yeah.
Juan Carlos Osorio, he talks about him, says, he's a great DM, but I see him playing a little further up the pitch. I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and if he comes to the national team, I'm going to go ahead and let you know that I'm changing his position now, so you don't freak out.
Yeah, he said that
when it happens.
Like
right.
Now,
I want to ask. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, John. Ask your question. Sorry.
No. Please tell us about your skill set. Then I'll ask my question.
Oh well, I mean, if you look at the kid's skill set, where he passing, and he presses well. I mean, it's not a bad idea because maybe this mid is a guy with a presence that can go in on strong tackles and can kind of maybe dictate play from the back. Maybe like and I guess somebody that's tall. Son Alvarez, El Machín.
Is he tall? Is he like 5'10" at least?
Yeah, I think he's a little taller, right? Because he plays center back as well for.
Right. No, I do like Edson Alvarez. I think that he definitely has potential. So now, I read some other stuff. about the whole thing, and the decision and the Mexican American thing. I didn't grow up in the border. I know that some of y'all. I know that some of y'all grew up closer to the border than I did. How important of a decision is this for someone who has that duality of life, living on the border like that?
I mean, if you look at it like let's say you're a kid. Let's say Dan. Dan grew up in L.A. He was probably a Dodgers fan growing up. But the Angels were in town too. And the Angels hired a bunch of former Dodgers. So I wonder like how did Dan kind of start rooting for Mike Scioscia and the Angels?
Dan?
My brother actually switched. My brother became an Angels fan when Soch left. I was disgusted.
Now, was that when they were the California Angels or the Anaheim Angels or the California Angels of Los Angeles?
I believe they were still the California Angels, maybe. They went through I'm not sure.
My only memory of the Angels was the year that the Astros lost in the playoffs. The Angels had it was...
¿Y la Cruz Azuleó?
And it was bad. And they fell apart and ended up losing to the Red Sox. That's my memory. Sounds like somebody's like tapping a pipe. How old are you? Are you tapping a pipe?
That's
I
think
Beto's testing his mic or something.
I think Rigo came back.
No, that's me. Sorry.
He needs to crank his computer.
Right.
But I think it's an analogous situation to like that type of situation where you have a crosstown rivalries there because they're so close.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. If you just look at it as a career move, it's a better move for.
I don't know, Joanne. You confused me. I don't know what you're talking about anymore.
Huh? Well, I'm just saying that.
So confused. What are we talking about?
Flooded with rivulets of thought, cascading into a waterfall of creative alternatives.
Yes.
What did he ask? I actually had to step away for a second.
No, about the duality of a Mexican American living in the border and like someone like Jonathan Gonzalez, how much of that plays into making his...
Okay, gotcha.
What haven't they said it was his dad that was pushing for him? That his dad really wanted him to play for El Tri.
Well, of course he did.
And
I did see that picture on Twitter where he tweeted an old photo of himself as a kid at the stadium outside of the stadium. Like it looked like his face was painted or something, and he was there with a bunch of other kids. To me, growing up in LA, especially in my particular area in LA, where it's like 95 to 99% Hispanic, you do grow up thinking you're Mexican, at least on some level. At least a lot of people do, especially the first generations whose parents were born in Mexico. Chances are, you're speaking Spanish at home. The connections are just a lot stronger. You're probably visiting Mexico regularly. So from that perspective, I think with that particular Mexican American, it's going to be a losing battle most of the time. They're going to be getting the guys that Mexico chooses not to call up, or if they snatch them up ahead of time, and lock them in that way, But players like that, I think, who grew up in that environment like I did, it just seemed weird to root for the U.S. Like, it's like, why would it would just seemed odd, and so I could understand how tough it is for those kids, because you're getting called up to represent your country, because you still identify as American, but but and I don't know. I mean, I'm just one particular fan. There's just no romantic vibe that you get from the men's national team, the U.S. men's national team, where there's, you get the goosebumps, like when you go watch Mexico, especially as a kid, and it's pretty inspiring stuff, seeing your parents lose their ass, like your dad, like I don't know, my dad's not. Seeing him see turn into a little kid, get all excited and stuff. That kind of stuff resonates with you.
Dan, I wanna like just on what you're saying. I say it depends the families too, because some families will kind of like steer the kid toward like feeling that way. When I was playing Sunday Pub League, I was in this team, and their dad, he organized one of the, I think it was California, which Liga California, like way back here in South LA, was like one of the top for amateur league. And
¿Metías la pierna, Joel?
No, I was caballero, dude. I was like,
hey,
But wait,
as you say,
wait, man. Let me just finish. And this dude was hardcore Mexico fan. The dad, he organized the league. He had a team for years, even his kids. And this is way back when they would even hold games in the Coliseum. And then that was pretty much Mexico's home away from home. And his sons, his three sons, all ended up being USA fans. I was like, I never understood it, His dad was such a hardcore Mexico fan.
Maybe they rebelled against that was their rebellion against.
No, they got along well. We would all see the games together. But I think some families do push that whole "you're Mexican" angle, where you
I didn't
feel
mean
that
push,
way.
But I just think I didn't mean it that it's being pushed. I'm just saying, like, you're growing up in an environment.
No, but see. Well, I've got another example for you, Dan.
No. We all have anecdotes. I'm just saying, like, a lot of players, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, most of these guys are choosing Mexico. So clearly I'm not way off base
actually,
here.
most of them have picked, if you look at at least in the last 10 years or so, out of the 10 that have played for one national team or another or have been called up, it's pretty heavy on the U.S. side, actually.
Wait, and you know what? For me, growing up,
go through the examples, John.
The majority of my friends didn't even follow soccer. They were first.
About that.
They were first generation.
You're changing the argument completely. I'm talking about.
How am I changing the argument?
Because we're not talking about non-soccer fans. We're talking about soccer players who
but depends on family too.
Yeah, so obviously,
how's your family?
Obviously, this guy's family wanted him to make a decision a certain way, and if family is a very important part of his life, then that was going to be a crucial part of his decision.
Yeah, because if his dad was a Dodger fan,
I was around.
But there's nothing wrong with it.
Folks that have been they were second and third generation born in the U.S. and maybe they're like great grandparent or they're some previous ancestor had been born in Mexico. And these guys, they still when they talked and stuff, they still identified as Mexican. They didn't speak a lick of Spanish, but they still they still had their Mexican flag and the stereotypical.
I think that we can wrap all this up by saying that obviously that it plays a huge role, and obviously it played a huge role in.
I don't think it did, man.
But
I don't think it played a huge role. I don't think he may have identified as Mexican. I think he was really leaning towards the U.S. He really wanted to be part of the U.S. and they didn't treat him right. They didn't call him up.
Dude, Thomas Rogan.
That was pretty insulting, Beto.
What?
Beto, seriously, that's pretty insulting. You're reducing him to a knee-jerk reaction person.
No, I'm reducing him.
He's incapable. No, that's a factor. That's a factor.
Yeah, he got recruited, man.
His dad is a factor. Yeah, I agree with that, but it's not the factor. He played.
No, exactly. But it's neither was the slight. Is my point. Like
Yeah,
you're painting
he
a
did
picture
make this
like the reason
decision,
he chose Mexico is
Jakey.
because he was
Yeah.
slighted by the U.S. I think
No,
it was.
I'm
more
saying
than
that's
just
part
that.
of it. I'm saying, listen.
guys,
Yeah,
let
that I can agree with.
Let me finish. That is part of it. Part of it is him not getting called up. Part of it is him not getting treated the way he was treated by Mexico.
Assault.
The other part of it is
I mean,
the U.S. is not going to the World Cup.
friendly.
The other part of it is he
True.
might have a chance to
Yeah,
play
but
with
he may not be
Mexico,
going to the
a
World
better
Cup.
team.
He may
that's
not be
going to the World Cup and maybe play in the Olympics. U.S. is on the downside. Maybe go to the next World Cup. So the money part, the upside on the business side, and everything else sides with Mexico. So he's looking for his well-being and siding for Mexico. Not just, I mean, patriotic could be a part of it. His dad's satisfying his dad is part of it as well. And then I think part of the negative side is the way U.S. reacted. So it's a combination of everything. And I think when we were talking about earlier, or Dan and Joel and Juan, we can't generalize every situation. Didn't this kid grow up in San Diego? That's on the border. And I think he identified and he wanted to play for the U.S. Just like Joel told about some friends who are U.S. fans.
You say he identified like Airwolf?
Yeah. I mean, you can be on the border. You can have hardcore Mexican parents and stuff. Still want to be a U.S. national team fan and want to play for the U.S. national
Like
team.
I said, I could only speak about my experience, and my experience, like everyone that I knew,
and I think that's a
identified
small
as Mexican much more. And like I said, like in areas where I grew up in, like that's where I figure, like I'm not disputing what Joel's talking about. Like there are examples, plenty example goes both ways, and I actually know plenty of U.S. fans too who are Mexican American. I'm not arguing that. But I agree with you. It was a multitude of factors that led to his decision.
Hey, so I read comments about U.S. national team fans that they were like criticizing Jonathan Gonzalez because they said that he should not have accepted caps by the U.S. That he was taking somebody else's spot that would had these types of negative comments.
Yes.
Instead of Jonathan. But the thing is that what I also read was a criticism by someone. I think Tom Marshall tweeted it or retweeted it that they only have one full-time scout. Like the U.S., they have one full-time scout. So if what's he gonna do when he's looking for players? He's gonna go to the obvious where the best players are gonna be. Where he's gonna probably hit he's gonna go back to the wall every time. Man, where is that? The Mexican League, and in particular, which teams? Is that elevator music?
No.
Pachuca, Monterrey, Chivas, etc.
You don't know what that is?
There's like
He's
an
the one that brought it up.
With one of these, with Tamis Rojen is that Dallas Cup or Surf Cup, one of these.
Well, that leads me to my next question. As far as like the business of sport, what is it that happened? I mean, Dennis DeClose took over for he's the director of national teams for Mexico, right? I mean,
Dennis Domenes.
Right. And
yeah,
he has been, this has been, as Joel says, he's been talking to this guy. He was recruiting him. What he did.
Well, Dennis spent time in the States, right? Working for Chivas USA.
Yeah, and
Totally.
Yeah, and odds are he knows Rongen because they were both at one point or another at Chivas USA.
Well, how
Dutch connection right there.
Did you guys read the interview with Alan Rothenberg, who was a former?
Oh, I read a piece. I know he threw some dirt over there.
He was definitely and the part that this is, and I wish I could get the quote right. I want to get it right, so I don't. But it was something to the effect of that U.S. soccer couldn't go scout some of the, because they weren't sponsored by them. So but they would still go in almost like incognito.
Oh, the Alianza. What was that? Alianza tournaments?
Right. The Sueño, the Sueño Alianza.
Yeah.
Do you know of them, Juan? There in Southern California.
Yeah, they're like in 8 cities in the well, I don't know how many exactly, but they're in a bunch of cities in the country. They'll do youth tournaments, and then they have like for the older players they have Sueño Alianza where they kind of exhibit them, try them out, and then they make a team and compete like in some top tournaments. Travel
So you
expenses paid.
so you've run into them.
So no, I've seen it. I've seen it. So what they do
Les
is they
ganaste,
only
güey.
they
Les
only
ganaste.
accept.
Les ganaste.
No, because you know that the prototype club team cannot enter that tournament. It has to be a team from a Sunday league or what we call ghetto league or whatever.
I think we just lost
You know, if you
Juan.
play.
Oh, let's go back.
So yeah.
Okay. Yes. So Joel, tell us a little more about Dennis DeClos, who's now the head of the director of national teams for FMX Food.
Well, since 2012, he was director deportivo of the youth teams for the selección, and it's pretty obvious what he's doing given what's going on in Mexico, where they're cutting back on players. And he said it on the interview where it's like how the league MLS is growing and how soccer is growing in this country, and that it's just a place where they're gonna be able to get more players. So I mean, I think this guy was just on it, for a long time, just looking for talent over here, and it's a pretty good that it. What happened?
There's a really good quote that I think you even put on the chat.
Yeah.
From close. That sort of contradicts what all the U.S. press is just going crazy about what did they say? Falling through the cracks. The whole players are falling through the cracks. The whole wrong end saying that there's only one scout in the U.S. Federation. Where DeClos, and I'll read it right here. He says, I think Tom Marshall asks him, what do you think of the future looks like in the rivalry for dual U.S.-Mexico national? And then he says, the future will be bigger Mexican-American population than there is now. So it'll be a growing thing. The popularity, the quality in the U.S. has been growing a lot, which means that they develop more competitive players. The youth program is very well structured. I think their scouting is very well structured. They really detect the players that they should be detecting, because I don't think that they overlook players, to be honest. I do think that their identities of the two federations is different. We need to be respectful. He was either being really nice about the U.S. and the way they do things, or he was just like lying.
No, you know what? Ron said it a while back. They might have crashed out of this World Cup, like with how the U.S. has managed to be a top 20 team in such a short period of time, and at least consistently stay at that level. That's no easy task, So just to say that they make it seem like they're in shambles, it's a bit exaggerated, and it kind of reminds me of what goes on in Mexico when you see a power shift and a new group coming in. So obviously you can say, yeah, these guys don't know what you're doing. We have the answer here.
They'll be back and they'll be fine. The U.S.
And they're going crazy over this kid who very well could be the next Miguel Ponce.
Well, I mean that's
next
coming. Is that that's to me that's almost like a. I'm not gonna say it's just the hysteria of losing player, because when your player pool is so limited.
Yeah.
And I speak for Mexico the same way. I mean, don't get me wrong. When the player pool is as limited as it is, I mean, I understand the freak out. You got an 18-year-old kid who played and starred on a team that made the field that finished first in the table and made the final, and and had a chance to win that.
But we spent months worrying about losing Neri to Uruguay.
Years, dude, years. Not only that, but I mean, how many? I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, many nights did we stay up
after the Copa America thing?
Yeah.
I mean, how many people were on pins and needles of the whole novela Neri? Because I mean, it was like, because Mexico hadn't had a player like that, score goals like that ever.
Yeah, and at the point he was the youngest player to have played.
21 when he did it.
Yeah, and he was the youngest to have been in Champions League at like 16, and he was playing Olympiacos, which was halfway decent. At least they would they would give some of the bigger team fits. He's just like a top prospect, man. He was.
If Hugo doesn't get fired,
he was the Chucky of the time, huh?
Yeah. If Hugo doesn't get fired, how different would Netty's career have been? Because they loved each other.
Yeah, he would have gone to the World
When a
Cup.
Mexican American comes out like with that at that level, then we'll be talking. And I think Dan asked a question about the number of Mexican American players that actually been grabbed by the U.S. And I put it on Twitter. It's actually Mexico has gained 3 and has lost, I think, 7 Mexican American players to the U.S. So we have a losing record. Mexico has a losing record in acquiring these Mexican American players. And I don't recall losing Homie Castillo, Mexico going up in arms. I know there was talk and a little bit of Russell about it, but it wasn't a big deal like this. Like we lost Castillo. Oh, okay, who cares? Or we lost Omar Salgado. Oh, big deal. But on the other
side, I get that. I understand. I mean, but the U.S. has gone through this before with the Italian kid.
Rossi.
Was it Giuseppe Rossi?
Just Rossi.
And then
like Prince.
And then he was terrific in that Confed Cup, and then unfortunately, succumbed to some injuries, and he just was never the same. But it was but he even said it never even entered. But that was a different situation, though. This guy played for the U.S. youth teams, and there's also did you include Jesse Gonzalez, the goalkeeper for FC Dallas, on that?
Oh no, I didn't. So that's 3-9 or 3-8.
Yeah. So
because I also grew up in a similar to Dan. Like a lot of Mexicans, and my experience was a lot of these guys, we do consider ourselves Mexicans, but we're like Mexicans light. All these guys also consider themselves descendants from Aztecs.
I don't dispute that. No,
and then they don't even go to Mexico. The majority, huh? No, but I'm saying
in their environment, that's how they see themselves. I'm not disputing the validity of it or not, or light or heavy. I agree with you that.
No, but I'm saying, but it's sort of like the identity in that area. Once you're out of that, I think they start seeing themselves more different. Once.
Yeah, I mean, my wife is from Veracruz, so I tell her when she first crossed the border to the U.S., her percentage of Mexican went down, and it's been going down percentage by percentage, and that's
of course,
the truth of it, man.
Yeah,
that's just the reality of things. But I mean, we feel different ways. Everyone is different, and that's cool. That's the people that have the Mexican flag and don't speak Spanish. That's their right. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure what
We're getting an echo.
Yeah, hang on.
I was listening to Hurt Gomez and Max Bretos. Their podcast is not too bad, and he has some good information on I guess the Chivas USA. What was that guy's name?
Because Hercules, and I guess I know the numbers that you're saying make sense or whatever. I'm not disputing that the others have more players that represent the U.S. And that echo's rough.
I don't hear it.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard it.
I hear it.
Oh shoot! Hold on.
Chiquis. There. Whatever. Nope. Still there. Nope. Still there.
Let me stop something.
I don't think it's me.
All right. How's that?
Hola. Oh, you fixed it.
Yeah,
no,
fixed. It was.
It was me. It was our phone system.
No, but I think it's still there.
Okay, so I don't know what it is then. What were we talking about?
Well, I was just going to say that Hercules, he seems, at least when I see him on TV, he comes off to me as a Mexico fan.
I think Yeah, because he does both. He's sort of ESPN Deportes, and then he's ESPN. So he.
But I've
And,
heard him
and
on the panels, like where they have like the British guys on there,
he,
and it looks like he's containing himself. The blatantly rooting for Mexico. I'm just waiting for him to slip and say we.
I think if you remember him, I think he was playing with Santos, and they were playing the MLS teams in the Champions League. He was he's a he was a he acted just like a Mexican, passionate, and he would fight. He wanted to fight those MLS dudes when they were playing. I think it was Real Salt Lake they were playing, and he was competitive, man. He just looked like a Mexican dude hating MLS and wanting to beat them and show dominance in the Champions League. So I can see it,
And I
but he
guess
also
my point is some of these players that end up choosing the U.S. I'm not. It may not necessarily be their first choice. There's like you said, there's other factors that go involved. It's not all about. So to be fair, who knows if Jonathan is choosing Mexico as a second choice?
yeah,
But it's a gamble because he's putting in all this the paperwork, right? He doesn't even have to play a game for it to be official. Like he won't be able to play for the U.S. anymore, right? Once he fills the paperwork.
Yep, exactly. I think it's a calculation. I mean, even if it is, like in my mind, from what I've seen and heard, I think it is his second choice. But I think it's still smart because he's not going to get guaranteed a spot from what everyone says, but he's at least going to be able to compete. And I think he has good chances of, like Joel says, going to the Olympics. So I think it's still a smart decision. The other guys,
whatever you're doing, you stop it because it's. I just heard that on the recording, and we're echoing. We're echoing a lot. And you're the only one that's not echoing. All right, I think you fixed it.
I muted myself. How about now?
Hola. No, it's definitely
Still going?
Hola, ¿qué tal? Hola, ¿qué tal? Yeah, when you're muted, I guess we just can't speak over you. You have to like talk a little bit and then get out.
Mute when you're not speaking.
That's right. Very very bizarre. So, Joel, did you finish up with our boy Dennis? I guess another question I could ask is who do y'all feel more comfortable running the national team? Dennis De Clos and Gerardo Torrado, or Santiago Baños and Memo Cantu? Anybody? Joel? Dan?
Joel would probably be the better person, but I mean, I now.
Yeah, Dennis is very professional. He's so professional. He didn't even want the job.
Did
he kind of knew what to expect.
Did you ever meet him, Joel?
No, I never got to meet him. I stopped. Even though I used to go cover the games, but it was I didn't run into him.
No. Okay. Well, I mean, it's it's definitely a player to keep an eye on over the next few years, and I think he has an outside chance of making the World Cup. I think he's going to have to play really, really well in order for him to get a spot at the table.
You don't think starting you don't think will be enough to get him on there? That and coupled with a good season for Monterrey.
When's the last time we took a player that young? I mean, aside from Ochoa.
Well, I mean,
they took Andres.
They took Andres.
That's right, Andres.
And they took Giovanni, Vela, and all those guys when they were 18, 19.
I just think their age should not be a factor. If he's playing good, take him.
No, I know it's not, but we rarely do it,
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, well, I think that goes to show that they do have to. If he plays himself into the squad, then let him be on the squad. That's my point. I don't like hierarchies or paying dues or anything
No.
like that. I'm like, if you're amongst the best, then you should be on there.
But
I think that's why that 2010 World Cup was so frustrating to me, because they had a team like that full of young guys, and I never understood why they didn't just just have Vasco just turn it loose and just play all those young guys. Instead he starts freaking Guille Franco.
Franco. Yeah.
He tried, man.
Well, I do think JCO has formed his group, so I do think he kind of respects some of that.
Yeah, I think this is something we should. I don't mean to interrupt, but this is something we should.
No, it's okay.
Probably start talking about, because I used to write about this is who's on the 23 right now for Mexico. Who's on the 23 right now, and I don't think he's on the 23 right now. I think he can play his way onto the 23, but I don't think he's on the 23 right now. He's going to get a shot. He's going to play the Bosnia Herzegovina about an hour south of me down in San Antonio, which I will be hopefully attending, and we'll I'm sure we'll get to ask him some questions about that, and I'll ask some of the we got the California perspective. I'll get the Texas perspective. I'll ask some of the folks down in San Antonio about that. It'll be interesting, but to me that 2010 World Cup with all those young guys, if Vasco would have just turned it loose, it would have win or lose at that point. Like I think they even told, dude, who cares? If they win 3 games or whatever, just whatever happens. Just play.
Was that the one where Jonathan went but didn't play?
That's the one where Jonathan was the 20th, the last guy cut. You can't cut a 19-year-old kid like that. I mean, geez, it was between him and Israel Castro. I would have been fine with Castro not going if it meant that Jonathan could go. I mean, Castro was good, but he wasn't like essential. I mean, he only played like 20 minutes in the whole World Cup anyway. So yeah, it was just that whole thing was just a. It was a
scored
mess.
that golazo to beat the U.S. in that cycle, didn't he?
Who?
Israel Castro.
Yeah.
No, you're thinking Gringo.
No, Israel Castro got the equalizer at the Azteca. Yeah, when Charlie Davis got that shock opening goal. Yeah.
But also, John, you need to fill that Liga MX quota.
Yeah, but then the Liga MX Cobra is. I mean, what are they going to do? They got 11 guys that play in Europe.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, still, they need. When it comes down to that, it's like, who are you going to give 20 minutes to? I think that the Liga MX presidents are going to push hard to have one of their boys in the team.
That's messed up, though, man. There shouldn't be any quota. Who cares about Liga MX? If none of them are good enough to go, then they shouldn't go.
For the club owners, but I mean,
I agree.
That's like puppet mastery stuff.
But I mean, the Liga MX is developing the players, so they should have, to an extent, they should be represented to an extent.
Well, I mean, then if that's what you want, then produce good players. Right?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Now, like I said, I mean, if after the the godsons and the nephews and my cousin's kids farms are dried out, where does Mexico go look for players? And where they're going to look for players in addition to Mexico is here in the U.S. and that's going to continue. And it sounds like Mr. Tecloas is going to make sure that continues for the foreseeable future. So,
good luck. I don't think it's going to be very bright, but.
Wait,
but
what?
Chiquis.
Good luck to him.
Chiquis next season. What is Salcedo? Salcedo could very well feature for next season cycle. So you have Salcedo and this
Chiquis,
guy Jonathan.
You're a numbers guy, right, Chiquis?
I gave my numbers. We've lost 9 with Jesse Gonzalez.
No, I'm talking about those numbers. I mean, but we're gonna win and lose. I mean, that's gonna happen. I mean, you can't control that.
I know, but nobody cared about losing those. It's no big deal.
Well, no one, and you know what? Mexico's going to win some, then no one's going to care about those as well. It's just how it's going to happen. It's a numbers game,
That's what I'm saying. That
and it's going to happen.
Yeah, but also in the past we work differently, Chiquis. This is
my
this is
trust in
now
Mexican
like
American.
Dennis doing stuff
Let me
differently.
put it to this
My
way:
trust in
if Mexico wasn't scouting the Mexican American population here in the States, you would be furious.
I would be.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, I think with due diligence, you need to scout. But
that's what they're doing.
I don't trust the Mexican American talent to be any good. Just like I don't
Oh,
trust, just like I don't trust American talent to be any good.
Wow.
Man, you got something against the region there.
I think Mexican American, and I've
something in the water.
I've talked about this.
It's really hard over here.
You went all pern on us, man. You just
he did.
I've talked about this, and Ronnie makes fun of me and stuff.
I'm out.
When I went to San Miguel de Allende, I talked about this already. Kids are playing in the park, knocking over old ladies, playing soccer. Here, that doesn't happen. You only play
Dan, were there pickup soccer games in your neighborhood when you were growing up?
Are you talking to me? Oh, Dan.
No.
Dan, yeah.
At least not in my circle of friends. No.
That's why there's no ball control
in parks and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. No, parks that for sure.
Every day.
Every day.
Soccer parks, soccer fields.
No, parks like regular parks. Patch of grass.
I played in a baseball field.
Patch of grass. I'm talking about La Plaza.
I played in fucking Lolo, man.
What?
In between trees, benches.
No.
The fountain, right around the fountain, you gotta dribble.
Dan, did you guys have trees, benches, and fountains in the neighborhood where you grew up?
Those became the
there was a
goalposts.
Fountain, yes. We had more parks than plazas.
The numbers are on my side. The numbers are on my side. The proof is on my side.
Hey, that's fine. All I'm saying,
Cheekies,
Cheekies, is if you can scout either 100 or 120 players, wouldn't you rather scout 120?
The what?
If you could scout either 100 players or 120 players, wouldn't you rather scout 120 players?
Yeah, sure. I don't know how that applies to this.
Oh,
John,
all you're doing is just adding to the spectrum.
Oh yeah, I agree.
All you're doing.
Yep.
Yes, Dan.
What do you think the percentages of players that are being looked at in the U.S. compared to the amount of players that are being looked at in Mexico?
Mexican players or players for that would play
like
on
dual
Mexico?
nationals. Yeah. Just like if you were to look at all the amount of players that are being scouted,
like
at
the
any given
entirety
time.
of scouting.
Yeah.
I'll probably put the split like at the most maybe like maybe 10 to between 10 and 15 to.
I was thinking under 10 probably.
Yeah.
But okay.
That would be at the most. Yeah. So
I mean, if we're only talking 10% of the scouting that you're, how much of that 10%? How can you expect a star to come out of that 10%? I mean, the likelihood is that you're going to get the bulk of your best players out of that other 90. Since we're talking numbers,
right?
But all you need is one to be great, and even serviceable is like this kid doesn't have to be a star. I mean, if he could be the next Torrado or something, or I mean, I know it's not his makeup, but I mean, but I'm just saying if he can be a really serviceable player, a good professional, then
I'm sure Monterrey is very happy with him right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And that's not a small feat. What he's doing, playing with a team with the payroll that with the stack team that they have. I mean, he benched a fringe national team player,
Jesus Zavala, who's tall. Apparently,
I was thinking Molina.
Tall. Oh yeah, it was Molina. That's right. I get those two confused because they're both tall.
Who I was a fan of too. I like him, but anyways.
I just yeah. I mean, to me, it's if it works out, great. If it doesn't, it's
I certainly don't share Beto's pessimism though. That's for sure. I don't think that it's nearly as bleak as he's.
He was coming hard.
Yeah, it's just my experience, and granted, I would have a better experience if I lived in like Southern California. If I had Juan's experience and seen the talent, like even the video he put, I assume that's in California of the little Pumas team. Um, that sort of impresses, but I think there's too many distractions in the U.S. for American kids. You get into the culture of NFL and NBA and
Yeah, but again, but you guys are generalizing so much about what you think might be, and I mean,
it's a general
I mean,
distraction that's out there. It's a distraction that's out there for all U.S. kids. In
But the
Mexico,
Yeah,
same
I see what you mean
yeah,
now,
but
because
they have the same distractions in Mexico, Chiquis.
yeah,
not only that
once in
though,
a while,
John,
whenever the NFL
there's
is in Mexico City,
there's other professional sports in the country that are being played at a really high level. They have the same distractions.
but the number one sport in Mexico is soccer. There's even like whenever the U.S. Mexico rivalry started, the whole campaign was "This is our sport."
I'm siding with Al here in the sense that one thing I noticed here with a lot of the kids, it's the sports are seasonal, especially because they're very mainstream. And I would see that where I would the park I would go play. Uh, so I'll play with the paisas and man, we played soccer year round, but we had to wait because you had the kids that would be playing baseball, and then you had the kids that would go and play American football. And for a lot of kids, even a lot of Mexican American kids, even some of them that would play soccer, they would play some of those sports first, including basketball. So whatever sport was being played at the time, they would play it. So it was
Dude,
like baseball season, basketball,
I'll tell you
pointy
what.
ball.
I'll tell you what, man. I went to Querétaro in the summer. I played like 3 hours of football, like little what is it called, indoor with some
Football,
with some panzón Mexican dudes.
football sala.
Yeah. Dude,
uh,
these guys were good. Young kids, old kids, they were all. I haven't
Panza de chelero.
I haven't played with such good players like in a long time, and they're like old dudes, man, panzón dudes. It's just like you grow up with the sport, you grow up with the ball at your feet from young
I,
age.
I played against a panzón like that in Argentina. Also, it was also indoor, and they were laughing. They said that he did a feint with his panza
Yeah, exactly.
because he turned his waist and his panza went one way, but he cut the other.
That's great.
I still can master
That's pretty
that,
funny.
but yeah.
And it goes to like when I was in the Air Force, we had intramural soccer uh, tournaments, and these were like guys were they were all into soccer. Um, it was embarrassing how much I would just dominate them. There was like people's wives saying like I would block the ball with my body, like let the ball there, and then people would run into my body, and they're like, "Hey, that's a foul. What are you doing?" And I'm like, what is going on here? You don't know what this sport is or what?" And it was just like the level was just so poor. And of course,
So you're
this
saying that it was so bad that you, who sucks,
yeah,
was the
yeah.
was the best player.
Well, I mean, I'll say I'm average. I'll downplay me a little bit. I'll say I'm average. These guys were pitiful. And granted, this wasn't Raza, so I don't have the Southern California or border town like Mexico.
Yeah, but it's the
I
Air
don't have that
Force, so they
experience.
kept them all over. They kept them all over.
Yeah, actually, on my team we had a bunch of Chilenos and some other dudes. I forget who else, and we were pretty good. So.
International team.
Yeah.
Chickens,
We're
whatever you
back
do.
with tackles, man.
We're echoing again.
Oh, jeez, it's my sister.
Chiquis fuera.
Ay,
You know
Chiquis.
one thing I noticed, John, too, that I think hurts here, like the culture of the sport. So like I like with AYSO, which is one of the biggest for youth, and they have. I'm pretty sure it's AYSO. Too bad Juwan's not here right now, but they have like this rule where it's like the team has to be disassembled at the end of the season. So basically, you get randomly thrown into teams once.
Yeah, but those are recreational leagues. Those aren't development leagues.
No, I know, but I mean, it's different than when in other countries where since little kids they're in the same team and you have kids growing up with playing together and they're more likely to get better
Yeah,
than
but I mean,
than
but that happens on development teams all the time. I mean, the AYSO. I mean, that's like, I mean, dads are deciding who goes on those teams.
no, but I'm saying it's the like the rule thing where it's like you go and you can't choose the players, they get assigned to you,
Right.
and then at the end of the season, uh that's it. It was like you're
Yeah, but
only
they
meant
also
to
have the
be.
rules where every kid has to play and all the other stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just.
yeah, but I've been saying I think stuff like that kind of hurts. It kind of
Well,
hurts
sure,
the
but I mean, but
sport.
again, I mean, but it doesn't happen on the development side though.
The 10th place medals and all that. Oh,
Well, see, I mean, and that's the difference. As Chico was saying, is that in Mexico and other countries, they don't have that organization. They just play a heck of a lot more pickup games.
yeah, no, but see, even like when it was in college, where like the college season for soccer was like what, 2 months here?
Yeah, exactly. It goes from September to and then it's
Yeah,
done by December. So like 3 months
yeah,
at the most.
and you're competing with some Brazilian kid that's playing year round, man. I mean, you're
Well, not only
just
that, but you're also competing against a Brazilian kid who's not only competing against year round, but is also a professional and has been a professional for
yeah, that's
3 or 4
their
years.
main thing.
Which is why again, I cannot stress how important it is for Mexican players, Mexican agents to start looking at MLS for possibilities, because I think that's gonna, again, you
But
can't expand the player pool without expanding your player pool.
I forgot who was talking about this, and I heard about it recently, and he was talking about why the under 20 leagues or the youth leagues in Mexico, because they created some youth leagues, how they're not that good because he says that the pressure isn't there. You know, you don't have that pressure to succeed as if you were playing in the first or even second division teams.
Right.
And yeah, it was another complaint I saw when once Chivas sold, their second division team Tapatio, and because so before they would have the players in Tapatio, and then the best ones they will come to the first team in Chivas. So after they sold it, they would loan a few of them, but the most of them were playing at the under 20 team, and the coaches were saying these guys are they can't hang once we put him in the first team.
Because they're playing against a bunch of 20-year-olds.
Yeah, and less competition and less pressure. So I think that's one thing that's missing right here, like in this country. It's like that pressure to do good is just not there.
Well, that could certainly be a part of it. Now, before we wrap it up, because we need to get going here, I personally have to catch an early flight to Pittsburgh tomorrow. But I do want to get your thoughts, Joel, on a couple of things. One, the Alanis situation. Again, Chivas, once again, they finally stepped on the rake, and it didn't hit him in the face. By announcing that hey, he's going to play with Chivas after all. So who comes out smelling like a rose? And anybody, or they all just look like just buffoons?
No, they all look bad to me, John. They all look bad. Well, maybe Alanis not so much, but I do think Higuera messed up because, and to me, it's part of like not having that communication with Almeida. So I'm gonna stick to my guns there and say that their communication's not that all great because you have I think with a player like Alanis, and at the point where you have 1 year left in his contract, that's when you should be looking into, okay, are you gonna sell him or are you gonna
Right.
extend them? Is he on your plans? And for them not to do anything, and then you're down to 6 months, where it's like, okay, now he could live on a free to go abroad, which was there was some teams already waiting. saying, "Well, we'll just wait 6 months and get you for free." So that I don't blame him for wanting more money because he has a good chance of going to the World Cup, and then Chivas could sell him. So I think they should have just given him his wage increase, uh, and then the whole thing. You can see how much of a mess it is with Almeida saying the club policy is not to play players that are 6 months. They have just 6 months on the contract.
What a ridiculous thing to make the poor coach. I mean, he was under orders. You think he honestly wanted to say that? He's probably like pushing back the bile as he was having to say that.
Yeah, that's so dumb because if that's the point, then, dude, the transfer market, you could have just sold him. You could have just sold him a few weeks back, or why even extend the goalkeeper Cota, who's only staying for 6 months? So it was just bad all around. Just bad, like not. I think they didn't communicate well. But then Almeida's now saying that he does want the player, that he's always wanted him. So you obviously have to, if you're Higuera, you gotta be kind of pissed off,
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. All three of them had a different story. All three, the player, I'm sorry, the coach, the GM, and the owner. They all had a different story with what happened.
Yeah, but Higuera comes in like he didn't know what was going on. He's like, what's this noise? I think he's been on it since the beginning now. But it's all bad. And it's kind of difficult for Alanis because going into the World Cup, you have to be signed to a Liga MX team to be part of it. So he could still not make the squad,
right?
Just based on that, they could just boot him out. So I think he should have. I don't know. It's a tough spot, John. I don't know what I would do, man. I think all sides messed up here, at least to an extent.
Well, hopefully it won't affect them that much. They have a big home opener against Cruz Azul. Carlos Fierro makes his triumphant return to
Gulit.
And is he going to play?
El lágrimas es de Esmeralda.
That's right.
No, probably not. I heard he came overweight.
Really?
Much,
I think that was his. Maybe he liked haggis a little too much.
Haggis.
over in Scotland. No, they have a big game against Cruz Azul, the home opener. It's going to be that's as it always is when those two teams play, get together. It's just a good game, and hopefully for Chivas fans they'll get their first points, and hopefully for Cruz Azul they'll actually score a goal. They haven't scored a goal in a while, so they need to get on that.
Yeah, and they just lost their Copa match against one of the Censo teams.
Oof.
So, yeah.
And then of course, the greatest bit of news of the whole weekend was that Chivas came from behind to win. I'm sorry, did I say Chivas? I mean Pumas. Good Lord.
I saw that comeback. It was very nice, John.
Me estoy avergonzado.
That was I saw the comeback.
Yeah, well, I mean,
again,
Pumas is a totally different team when they have Nico Castillo. I mean, he is that important to them. That having him on the pitch, gives them, a 100% chance more of winning than when he is not playing, when they have a 0% chance of winning.
And that's what we're hoping at Chivas, that Pulido is, because he kind of hasn't been. He came up big in the final. He's come up big a few times, but his consistency has been poor.
Yeah, he also, remember, he was hurt. He was hurt last.
Yeah, no, I know, but still, it's. I mean, I give him massive credit. He came up big in that one final, but even in the lead up to the final, he hadn't been doing good.
Oh, they were calling you out on the chat, man. Someone says, "Yeah, déjate de babosadas."
Oh, snap! I like the honesty.
Richard Flores says that. Says, yeah.
Oh, Richard is abusive, man. I'm going to.
Yeah, you're gonna have
Me
to
too
write
hashtag
a
because
strongly
he's
worded letter. Strongly worded letter.
words hurt, man.
Pobrecito Joel. I want to play the what was the name of the ball in Mexico? That was it the Llorona? Was it the really? Oh man, I wish I could remember that. The llora, llora, mueve sus manitas. You guys have no idea what I'm talking about.
Hey, John.
No.
Yes.
Did your boy respond on Twitter?
Which one? Oh,
I was a little bit confused.
Yeah, because I was trying to do Rigo's Twitter, and I don't remember what the hell it is. So I always do like Mich because he's like Michelada, and I thought that it had called his up, and I didn't check it. I ended up sending it to Michel Richaud, who's now the director deportivo of Zacatepec, who I would love to have on our show. I think that'd be a very interesting conversation and topic to have with him about being at a team in the Liga Ascenso. You know, Zacatepec to me is like one of the romantic teams that play Mexico. I would love to see them back in Liga MX. In fact, wasn't Zacatepec, Joel, the team that Chava Iglesias was sending the plays to?
It was probably a fictitious team, though. I don't.
Yeah. No, I think it was Zacatepec.
No, but I think they had like a different, like they were like tarantulas or something like that.
Well, no. I mean, that was the team that ended up. Yeah, but he sent stuff over to Zacatepec.
He took pictures of the tactics.
Yeah, so that was a mistake by me. It was you can't edit tweets.
I didn't pick up the name right away, and I was like, "That flute."
No, Michel. He's the gentleman who you might know him from the he was like the math ways when it came to the FIFA ranking. He like would start right after the World Cup ends because that's when they start calculating for the next one, and then he would project out to where Mexico would end up on the ranking. So he was very well studied in the ins and outs of the formulas of how they calculate the FIFA ranking. So he was one that always would keep us up to date. And I remember in the last two games, there's a 97% chance that Mexico will make it to the we'll be in at least in pot 2. And of course that's when when Trinidad scores a goal, like, well, there's your 3% right there. Mexico lose that game. Oof. But yeah, so he and now he's the director deportivo of Zacatepec. So hopefully we'll have him on. We'll have him on soon. He also won our fantasy league last year. He was having a very mediocre season. Came out of nowhere in the playoffs and just got ultra hot. As happens in Liga MX all the time in Liga. Yes, the teams the teams that come in hot are the ones that do well. So he'll have some explaining to do about that because I was ranked number 1 that season and I got taken out in the semifinals. It was rough. It was rough. But anyway, we digress. And then the last thing, Joel, before we wrap it up, we had Chicharito news on the Lista Transferibles. Will he play at Chivas coming up this season?
Probably on loan. I could see him going on loan because, I mean, you're going into the World Cup, so you need some playing time.
So you think it could happen? You think that the possibilities are there for
just on préstamo though? I don't see Chivas.
Right.
You gotta said it when Vela went to LAFC. He said we don't have MLS money.
Right.
So and that was to pay Vela wages. Chicharo's wages, I'm quite sure they're higher.
So what percentage would you put that at? What do you feel?
If the club's willing to loan him out, or if there's like a deal where like LAFC buys him and then loans him out, I'll put it at 60.
60%. 60%
Yeah.
that Chivas fans in the upcoming season could be.
He needs to get his mojo back, John.
He does.
He could probably do it back at Chivas. So there's 20 days here because I think the winter transfer market closes on the 31st.
What is the only other team that Chicharito you think would play for if it wasn't Chivas? Or I think Chivas is the only team, period, end of story.
No, any team. I think even if America dropped the right coins, he would
You
go.
think Chicharito would go to America?
Yeah, Tigres was saying, yeah, any man, even el más macho went to America, you know.
You know, somebody who once won a title at Chivas is not very happy with you.
Y usted no me va a decir qué carajo tengo que hacer.
Hey, man, I never expected Pelaez or Luis Garcia to end up at Chivas. Or even Carlos Hermosillo, and they did.
That's true.
You know, and these were very iconic players. So yeah, I don't see why not. Especially if it's just on loan, you know. He's not exactly closing his career there. But I have a feeling he might not even. I don't know, man. I think he does have some love for Chivas, but if the money's right, he might retire elsewhere. Or he could come when he's viejito, you know, like 40.
Well, so I guess that's the thing, though. Is the David Moyes sale? Is it speeding up the process? Is it expediting the Chicharito to LAFC inevitability?
Yeah, man, that's some bad luck. End up with Moyes again.
It really was. I mean, it was just harsh, and we talk all the time, Joel. You know what's as you can have all the talent, but if the coach doesn't like you, it's not like other sports where they have unlimited substitutions. I mean, if you're not playing, you're not playing.
Yeah, same happened at Leverkusen. Once the coach left, his productivity fell.
Yep.
You know, and they're not. And then Moyes, I heard he was putting some other guys that aren't even strikers. He was
right.
So I don't know, man. I'm like, why stay over there, man?
Well, when Moyes
there's
came
nothing
over,
left for him.
And knowing they have Andy Carroll on the roster, there's no way that Moyes is going to pick Chicharito over Andy Carroll. It's just not going to happen. It's because Moyes likes the gigantic strikers.
Yeah, just come over here, Cheech. I wouldn't begrudge him.
Okay, so Chicharito, you know how like when you go to the eye doctor and you go, is it lens number 2 or lens number 3? All right, so
yeah, but you know what? Even I'm gonna say this, John. Even if he went to America, I would wish him well because this is probably his last World Cup.
Okay, no, I
for Mexico, man.
I think he's
just want to see him do good.
I think he's gonna play one more because I think at 32 you can still score goals. All right, so if
he's gonna be older. He's like 29 right now.
No, he's 28. If not Chivas, what about Manchester United? Do you think there's a chance that he'll go to Manchester United on loan?
I would love that, John. I know in the past.
I'm not asking how you feel about it. I'm asking what you think.
I don't know because before he signed with West Ham, Mourinho had been praising Chicharo, and he had been saying had he been, that he would have never sold Chicharo, and how at the United team he would already had X amount of goals.
Right.
And so I was thinking, is this guy trying to get him?
And they do play. They are in the Champions League. I mean, it makes it.
Yeah.
Obviously much more. And on top of everything else, I'm not saying that he's a Manchester United legend, but he's definitely has nestled into soft spots of Mancunian hearts for sure. So he definitely will have fan support. So
Yeah, but I'm saying I thought Mourinho really, and they could have easily gotten him, but he didn't. So I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's true too. He could have
Uh,
certainly snatched him up, but he.
and then this guy just recovered, right? If I'm not mistaken, even extended his contract. Zlatan.
Yes, he did. He did indeed.
So that might have closed the door on that.
Right. And then the other option would be he probably is going to end up just staying at Manchester United.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, at West Ham United. I'm getting my teams confused tonight. I gotta lay off the PCP when I'm doing the show.
He could stay and fight for a spot. I mean, he's done it before, and when he was at Madrid, and then he would catch fire, and then the coach will bench him for a month.
Right.
that was very frustrating.
So we're looking at you said about 40%, or did you say 60% Chivas, and then LAFC.
Yes, if like KFC, well, who knows, man? I mean, sometimes when they're trying to get rid of a player, they won't do the loan thing because they just want to straight sell him out.
Right.
But it could also work for them because if after the World Cup, Chicharo does good, you could sell him for more money.
Exactly. So it's good. It's just, I mean, if you're not going to use him, you've already said you're not going to, then yeah, it's a good business business practice for that to happen. So I'm just going to throw numbers out, see if you agree. So you're saying it's going to be about 40 Manchester United, about 40 stays. I'm sorry, 40 Chivas.
No, Man U, I'm not. I think that door is closed.
So it's a 50-50. Chivas stays at West Ham.
Wait, did you hear any rumors on that, or?
Oh, I didn't hear any rumors.
Or you're just bringing it up?
I'm just bringing it up. Okay,
then no, it's that door closed. The door and window is closed.
So no Manchester. So much to answer for.
I could see a loan deal. I know Tigres wanted. I think Tigres. I heard some rumors that Tigres might push for him. I could see Tigres paying him, giving him a nice, a nice deal. I only see Chivas getting him on loan. Chivas will not buy him. They don't have that money.
Right.
The only way I see my Chivas is if like LAFC buys him and then they loan him out.
All right. Well, I personally, and I said earlier, I think there's a 60% chance that he stays at West Ham. I don't think he's really going to go anywhere. But we'll see what happens with that. Danny, I threw a little Smith's reference for you. I didn't know if you caught it. I was hoping you did.
Manchester?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was hoping you caught that.
Yeah, I was in the bathroom and I could. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, suffer little children indeed. I don't even have a good little audio drop for that.
Yeah, well, you'll have to work on one for me, please.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
You should have turned the audio. You should have turned the audio on while you were.
No, that's Ronnie's. That's Ronnie's bit.
We could have recorded that audio.
Yeah, that's audio I don't need to hear, frankly. So, well, Chiquis, do you have any? Do you have any chicharito? Any chicharito?
Hopefully he stays in Manchester, or in Manchester, in West Ham.
Look at that, man! It's gonna happen. It's all in your guys' psyche.
Because I'm going to, well, if he goes to Manchester, which I doubt it, but I'm going to the West Ham Manchester United game in March, so hopefully I get to see some Chicharito.
No, that's right. You are going to that. Hopefully it'll work out for you. Well, maybe you'll see him either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're going over to London?
Yes.
Is it just you? Or are you?
The whole family, but to the game it'll just be my dad and I.
Oh wow.
They'll be
how
going around, going to
you'll-
Harry Potter places or Big Ben or wherever.
Look, kids.
Diagon Alley.
Big Ben, Parliament.
Want to go mess with that the soldier that stands there?
Oh, at Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
The changes, yeah. I'm sure that never happens. No, London's supposed to be really cool. So I've never had a chance. I've never had the pleasure. I'm sure it's. I mean, it's one of the world's great cities. I'm sure they'll have a great time. It's it'll be good.
Yep.
So you think he should just stay there, stay at West Ham, selfishly?
Yep, selfishly. And I was gonna say, I guess earlier, I don't know if this topic came up, but I sort of tend to lean toward maybe not Chicharito when there's other players who can take his place, but players that have shown quality, even though they might not get all the playing time in Europe. I would still lean towards them above any like other Liga MX player that's maybe not the greatest.
Well, the only one right now is Uribe. I mean, there's really no other Mexican striker that's doing. I mean, there just isn't. I know Victor Guzman scored a lot of goals, but he's he does that at a position where Mexico is probably at the deepest, which is the midfield.
Yeah, like say Uribe gets a couple goals, gets way more playing time than Chicharito and Vela. I'd still lean towards Vela over Uribe, which doesn't really make sense, but just based on the quality of talent the player has and the history.
Wait, I with all this talk of loaning players, should we be worried that Dos Santos and Vela are not going to be playing for a couple months?
Well, they're going to start their preseason here in a little bit. I mean, they're going to start playing in March, so I mean, they're going to be fresh.
Okay. Estaba norteado. All right, never mind.
So are you going to go to the first Clásico Angelino there? Or I guess the newest version of the Clásico Angelino?
Yes, hoping.
I mean, they're playing like right across the street from each other, right? Oh no, they're playing down in Carson. I keep thinking that somebody's playing in the Coliseum.
No, Carson is a bit further off, but
that was actually really funny. Did you see that Joel when they announced their schedule? LAFC.
Yeah, they did like a game show type.
It was like an old airport travel thing. Did you see what they used for when they were going to play down at LA Galaxy? What city they used?
No.
But like it says Seattle. It says Seattle, Vancouver, Dallas, Houston, NYFC, Carson.
Oh, Carson. That was pretty brilliant. They had a different one where it's like their first game, and it's where you like drop a ball, kind of like the Plinko, I think it's called.
Right.
And it looked like it was gonna land on LA, but it landed like on some other team for their first friendly. Yeah, their marketing media has been pretty good for LAFC. They've been doing a pretty good job.
They have indeed. Well, gentlemen, it's probably a good spot for us to wrap it up tonight. We do thank everybody for joining us, and like I mentioned earlier, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop us a line. I don't follow the chat as often as I should, unfortunately, but I do have some folks that have been on the chat tonight. We do appreciate that. Thanks to MJP and Richard Flores for joining us, and Bill Mann for saying hello on the chat. We do appreciate that, and appreciate the questions we got on Twitter. Again, you can follow us. We're at CantinaMX_pod on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. We have a page on Facebook, facebook.com, CantinaMX podcast. You can like us there. And of course, you can subscribe to this page on YouTube, and you can subscribe to our our podcast, and of course, give us a review. I know that we could certainly use the feedback, both positive and negative. We certainly, we're not chillones here. At least not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen some of you guys in a while. I'm not sure if you guys have turned into chillones or not. I know I'm
I've been meaning,
at least not about that.
I've been meaning to try the Soylent diet.
How can you eat anything with the word Soylent in it?
I'm just kidding.
I mean, who markets that stuff? Seriously. Did they not see the movie?
I don't know.
Which movie, John?
Soylent Green. Have you not seen Soylent Green?
Oh man, no. Is it like on Netflix?
It's with Charlton Heston, and it's this amazing food that everyone's eating called Soylent Green.
Oh, this is going way back.
Oh yeah, and it has the great.
Turn into like a blob.
Well, but what he finds out what Soylent Green is made out of, and he has a great. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to find this for you guys. I mean, he has a great. He has a great line at the end. I'm not going to spoil it for you because I want to play it for you here.
It sounds more like it was a warning.
Oh, it was definitely a warning. Let's see if I can. See, now you've challenged me, Juan.
I've noticed. I noticed a lot of IT guys talk about that, eating that stuff. I don't know too much about it.
Here you go.
They're making our food out of people. Next thing they'll be breeding us like cattle for food. You gotta tell them.
Promise, Tiger. I promise. I'll tell the exchange.
Tell everybody. Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell them Silent Green is people. We gotta stop them.
There you go. So that's the.
That
was the thing about Charlton Heston.
Damn, it sounded intense.
So you're eating people, Chiquis. I think is what it boils down to. Soylent is people.
No, with that Soylent stuff is it's supposed to be healthy, but it's not too good for guys. Well, I mean, I think even for girls, but I think if you drink it in excess, because it builds up your estrogen, so it'll throw your body off whack.
Evita el exceso.
So evita el exceso, man.
As in all things.
Well, gentlemen, we have a week ahead of us, and then at the end of the month we'll have a friendly. We have some other stuff to talk about, but our conversation here has ended on the CantinaMX podcast. I want to thank Chiquis for joining us. Thank you, Albert Campa, down in Kyle, Texas.
Thanks for setting it up and hosting. Sorry for being late the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll cobrar factura next week.
Yep, fun times.
Daniel Preciado out in California. Thank you very much, sir.
Fun as always, John.
I'm gonna try, Dan. This is my one of my 2018 goals to sneak in a Smiths reference in every show.
I was thinking that if I ever get to writing, I wanted to do the same.
Yeah. I remember when Mexico announced the black uniforms, I wrote a piece on big soccer where I said Mexico wants to feel as, I forget what the line I feel as black on the outside as black as they do on the inside.
It's a great line.
It is a great line. And I think that you even pointed out, hey, nice reference.
Yeah.
Indeed. But anyway, so it was fun times again. Dan, we'll talk to you next week. Hopefully Santos will remain in first place next week. And of course, we can't ignore Joel Aceves. Joel, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on your anniversary.
Yes, my quinceañera of following, reporting on football. As always, glad to be here. Glad to be part of the Cantina.
It's how you've been able to retire early, Joel. All the the big bucks you made writing about Mexican soccer.
I kind of did retire early, John. The game doesn't need me anymore.
It's a young man's game, Joel.
It is. It is. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'll see some of the articles or stuff, and I was like, who reads this? And then you see the likes and retweets, and I was like, oh man, yeah, this isn't for me. Just really basic stuff a lot of times, you know.
Right. No, I understand. Yeah, congratulations on your anniversary. We're always thrilled that you help us out here in the CantinaMX podcast, and we'll talk to you next week. Hopefully, again, with some positive Chivas news.
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully, Cheech joining the regaño.
Wow, that would be good news for everybody. That would be. I mean, that would be just. I mean, they might even have to bring. They might have to trot him out for that if that happened. I think that could very well be the case. Well, we would do. I want to thank y'all for joining us here on the CantinaMX podcast. We ran a little long tonight, but we do appreciate y'all hanging with us. Again, you can listen to this in our previous editions on here on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our channel, or you can download this in previous editions of our podcast from the Podcast Center on iTunes. My name is John Jagu. Wish you guys a very pleasant rest of your week and weekend, and we will talk to you guys next week.